We've hit the middle of the month. Welcome to Tuesday on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and of course, I do this together with Bernice Abubedu Lance on one end, and of course, Mapito Sibidi on the other. From all of us to you, welcome aboard the show. We'll be serving you the news shortly with Pakwesi Shandorf, but right after that, what can you expect on the show? Joining us for the news review, we have former presidential candidate of the Progressive People's Party, Bridget Jogbenuku. She'll be our guest. But then we get into our big stories, and who can run away from that one? President Akufo-Addo, on Monday, which is yesterday, terminated the appointment of the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahin. In a statement to yesterday from the presidency, the Director of Communications, Eugene Ahin, said, quote, after being made aware of the allegations leveled against the minister in the expose, Galamsey Economy, the president spoke to Mr. Edubuahin, after which he took the decision to terminate his appointment and also refer the matter to the special prosecutor for further investigations. Again, the committee tasked to look into the minority's parliamentary motion of censure seeking to sack Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta commences sitting today. We'll discuss all of these matters with Vitus Azim, an anti-corruption campaigner, Martin Kpebu, a lawyer, and Bobby Banson, also a lawyer, to get different thoughts on this all-important matter. But also today, we come to you. On Citizen's Microphone, we take you to Red Top, a suburb of Kaswa, where residents want their bad roads fixed. They say it's become expensive to live there because they always have to spend a lot to fix their cars. We'll be hearing from those residents and also engage the Member of Parliament for the area, Sylvester Tete. Also coming up, we take you to Weja Tetegu. I'm sure you remember how the spillage of the Weja Dam led to flooding in that area. Well, the residents have been back there for a while and are seeking to rebuild their lives. Maxwell Agbagba, my colleague, has been there. His report airs later on this show. Also coming up, we'll be telling you about the Hits FM Schools reunion. Old Schools reunion, I should put it that way. It's coming up on the 26th of this month. More details later on the show. As always, we'd love to hear from you. So guess what? Share your thoughts with us via the live stream with the hashtag AM show. And later when we activate the phone lines, give us a call. Let's know what you're thinking. On that note, I hand over to Pakwesi Shandorf serving you the news. Wato wato, like the Nigerians will say. Hot hot this morning on the AM show. Do stay.
It's a Tuesday and the second working day of the week. My name is Pakwesi Shandorf. It's now time to serve you the news. Now, let's start off on this note where the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry has forwarded a report from an investigation into activities of Akunta Mining Limited in the Mimri Forest Reserve to the police for criminal proceedings to commence. Now, you would recall that some civil society organizations petitioned the Criminal Investigations Department over the activities of the Akunta Mining Company, which is owned by the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Bernard Entry Boesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. Lands Minister Samuel Abujinapo has been speaking on PM Express.
You issued a statement recently when the Akunta Mining thing came. Very, very strong statement listing a host of things that you're instructing, if I'm not mistaken, the Forest Commission to act. Was it Forest Commission or the Minerals Commission, one of them, to take? What's an update on that?
Well, first of all, as you know, the forest estate of our country by law are governed or are regulated by the Forestry Commission. The body, the legal constitutional body that has the mandate for the management, exploitation, and preservation of the forest estate of Ghana is the Forestry Commission. And therefore, when a matter affects the forest reserves of our country, the body that acts on it has always been, is, and will always be, unless we change the law, the Forestry Commission. And so as minister, I got the Forestry Commission to conduct investigations into this matter. They presented their report to me. I know that there's a petition before the Criminal Investigations Department, and therefore,
by the civil society.
Yeah, so I forwarded the report of the Forestry Commission to the Interior Minister for onward submission to the Ghana Police Service. The police themselves have written to me for some, information of a sort, and I provided them with that information. And I keep making the point, the matter to do with Akunta Mining, with the greatest of respect, I brought it up to the national discussion. in all modesty, Akota Mining, it was because of the statement I made and the statement I put out there, which is why it became such a major national topical issue. And it is because, really, with, I should say this with all the honesty I can marshal, we do this work with all the sincerity that we can marshal at our disposal, and we deal with these matters without fear or favor, and the chips should fall where they may, and that's exactly what I did. I've done my work.
Well, away from that, the superintendent of the Ghana Immigration Service, David Asian, has told an Accra High Court that Chinese national Aisha Huang used a forged marriage certificate to obtain an indefinite residence permit. The detection of this forgery, according to the officer, is what led the Immigration Service to revoke her permit and repatriate her. Court correspondent Joseph Frimpong Akable reports.
Lawyers for Aisha Huang, led by Nkrabi Efadate, have previously questioned why prosecutors keep changing the story regarding how she left the country.
I didn't understand why the Attorney General did not allow us to finish the case. I think it was a wrong move, but they took her out of Ghana. Today we are being told in the court that she sneaked out of Ghana, which is false, a blatant untruth, an inaccurate statement which was made to the court. Very sad.
Superintendent David Asian on Monday mounted a witness box as the state's second witness in the case of illegal mining filed against Aisha Huang. He started his testimony by telling the court he was tasked to investigate the accused person following the publication on myjoyonline.com and another news portal. The stories, he said, made serious allegations of illegal mining against the Chinese national. Superintendent Asian said he was asked to check her immigration status and the situation on the ground with regards to the allegations. He revealed he found that she had an indefinite residence permit. During cross-examination, lead counsel for Aisha Huang and Nkrabi Efadate asked the immigration officer whether his probe was only regarding her immigration status. He replied it bordered on that as well as allegations regarding the illegal mining. He then gave the following details about her repatriation.
When we examined the passport, she was on indefinite residence permit, which was granted to her based on her supposed marriage to a Ghanaian known as Anthony Fabian. However, investigations conducted by the GIS established that the accused used forged marriage certificate and forged Ghana passport in support of her application for the indefinite residence permit. As a result of this, the Comptroller General revoked the indefinite residence permit on grounds of fraudulent misrepresentation that led to a subsequent repatriation on 19th December 2018.
Mr. Date told the court he will continue with his cross-examination after conferring with his client. It is worth noting that the trial on Monday did not commence without controversy. Aisha Huang told the court she could not understand an interpreter who had been tasked to assist her. A new interpreter was brought to continue with that task. The case is back in court on Tuesday, November 15.
Now, President of the Garden City University College wants private universities in Ghana to find competitive means of staying recognized. Professor Anthony Apeke Adimado observes the tertiary education space shares similar programs, thereby giving especially public counterparts more advantage. He was speaking at the GCUC's 17th matriculation at Kenyase.
The University College admitted 1,450 students across its various disciplines and learning centers. Professor Adimado observed a plethora of business programs running in the various tertiary institutions nationwide. He believes that GCUC's focus on health has been crucial in increasing enrollment. He therefore urged private tertiary institutions to be innovative to stay in business.
You know, for the private university landscape, people started with business education. And business education is dwindling because even the public university, 13 or so public universities, everybody has an aspect of business education here and there. There are several, BSc, administration, human resource, and all the branches, in addition to various postgraduate programs, MBAs, and stuff like that. But you notice that very few are engaged in health-related disciplines. And that is what GCUC is actually cashing in on. You know, there have been several diplomats, nursing diplomats all over the place who want to top up for the degree. So the clientele is there. And even that, I've told management that I believe in the next 5-10 years, that too will be drying up. So, you know, we are in a competition. So it's a question of looking around. I've been telling my director of cross section, let's dream dreams and look at what we can do different. You know, that is the name of the game. So for me, I think having 1,450, you know, matriculants for August admission, it's very encouraging. And I believe by January admission too, if we get equal number, then it means that we are somewhat, you know, keeping our nose above water. That's the most important thing, because remember that we don't have any subvention from central government. So it means as private university or institutions, we need to look at innovative ways of increasing our inflows.
Reporting for JoyNews,
and also
Kwesi Dev.
Now, students at colleges of education in the Ashanti region resort to group discussions and personal studies as CETAG and CENTAG embark on strike. Students at some colleges of education in the Ashanti region, again, are resorting to personal studies and group discussions in classrooms as their teachers and not teaching staff embark on an indefinite strike nationwide. The National Council of both teaching and non-teaching staff at the colleges of education laid down their tools after government failed to implement the agreed 2021 conditions of service, postponing it to 2023. There is more in this development, which we would be bringing to you later on.
Check here at the St. Louis College of Education in Broome. It's 10 a.m. and literally every academic activity is grinding to a halt. It is typical to find students actively engaged in class lessons at such hours, but today their teachers have boycotted class to vent their displeasure at the government for failing to address their demands. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission's decision to unilaterally sign off a memorandum of agreement is one of the major concerns fueling their decision. Paul Mensah is the local CETAG representative at the St. Louis College of Education.
For us, CETAG, we had negotiations with the government as to conditions of service. Now, this was done in 2021, and then it was supposed to take effect. In fact, negotiations have ended, but it was supposed to take effect in 2022. Now, the government has dragged its feet till now, and then when we were supposed to go and sign off the memorandum of understanding or the memorandum of agreement that we have with the government, then the government came in and said that the conditions of service is going to start in 2023. And even that, they called us that we should come for another negotiation. And we are saying that the negotiations have ended. We are not going in for negotiations again.
These are students of the St. Louis College of Education here in the Ashanti region who are having their personal studies. They're having a study on science. And for the time being, this is going to be their condition. They are going to conduct their own personal studies until the teachers here in this school come back into the classrooms. Students who wish to catch up and stay afloat with lessons in class are also referring to the library for their personal studies. But according to authorities, this serene environment will soon be closed to the students as the non-teaching staff also make their demands. Benjamin Akakpo is the local representative of the College of Education Non-Teaching Staff Association of Ghana.
Non-teaching staff, specifically those of our members who hold first degree, are not paid commensurate with their colleagues in other tertiary institutions, i.e. the universities and technical universities. They all hold first degree, but when you come to the colleges of education, they are placed on level 16, low on the single spine salary structure. But our salaries are fixed. So people cannot just make ends meet. Many of them, even some of them who use motorbike, have packed motorbikes. They are motorbikes. They can't even ride motorbikes.
At the Wesley College of Education, Tafo, whose centenary anniversary is just at the corner, offices remained closed while students helped with preparation for the school's anniversary. The students are, however, worried the strike, if not called off immediately, would adversely affect them.
We are preparing towards our Grand Derby anniversary, which is on the 19th of this month, which is coming Saturday. But the strike is really going to affect us after our program, because we are not going to go for lectures and then we need to go for lectures and then study. Yeah, as a student teacher, we need to get our we need to get the necessary things that we need, so that when we go on board or when we go outside, we can impart what we have for students.
The student teachers are not only affected by the halts in teaching activities, their daily food rations have stopped coming because of the strike.
This morning we have to have our breakfast and everything, and I went there, the place is so quiet. Yeah. They are not feeding us this morning, and food, we need food. So as it stands now, we need them urgently on campus.
The association says it is not backing down on its decision until their demands are met. Francis Cheibedu is the local CTAG chairman at the Wesley College of Education.
Until we see positive results, ladies and gentlemen, we are not backing down. This strike is indefinite. And until drastic measures, drastic conditions of service, improvement in our members' conditions of service are implemented, we have, on behalf of the leadership led by Prince Obinhima and all his members, we have declared an indefinite strike.
The teachers and non-teaching staff at the 46 colleges of education nationwide are anticipating that the government sticks to the highlighted conditions of service as agreed upon. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Still in the Ashanti region, students of the State Experimental Basic School can now sit comfortably in class after the 2002 alumni of the school donated more than 200 monodesk and other teaching materials to the school. The students previously shared desk spaces with their colleagues, hampering academic activities. Details in this report.
The State Experimental Cluster of Schools is one of the oldest public schools in the Ashanti region, having churned out notable personalities in the country. Established in the 1950s, the school has since not seen any major renovations and challenged with infrastructural deficits. Students at the school have had to struggle with inadequate desks by sharing the few ones available with their colleagues. The 2002 year group of the school donated over 200 monodexes, 30 tables and armchairs for teachers, as well as pen drives and reading items. Mercy Ekwia speaks for the group.
Having our parents to buy, I know it's free education, but at times some students don't have or can't afford to buy it. So from student point of view, ideally having that will impact them, like in terms of learning. You can't come to school and stand. So having that provided, I feel like, you know, you have that zeal to come in because you've got table and chair to use.
Authorities and students of the school could not hide their joy upon receiving the items. Headmaster Solomon Oforikankam says the items came at the opportune time and would facilitate smooth learning at the school.
The challenge with furniture is that we have a lot of them broken. We don't have money to repair them. Sometimes it is some of the parents who volunteer to come and then repair some for us. And also we're not having enough, honestly. We're not having enough in the class. You go to a class that has about 40 pupils with only 18 monodesk. 40 people sharing 18 monodesks, which was very, very bad. It was not helping teaching and learning. And because of that, the children were also not coming to school.
For Joy News, Emmanuel Wright Kweku reporting.
Now, a US-based non-governmental organization is providing relief to residents in communities whose water sources have been highly polluted through illegal mining operations. Source of Hope is providing portable water to these communities. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Opokua Osei-Yeboah tells JoyNews more than 20 Galamsey-affected communities in Ashanti, Eastern, Central and Western regions will benefit from the project. Here is our humanitarian report.
Yeboah and Dr. Opokua Osei-Yeboah, through their NGO Source of Hope, recently handed over a brand new computer laboratory and mechanized borehole to the people of Pandai in the northern region. The NGO is now turning attention to support the fight against illegal mining through the provision of clean drinking water to endemic communities. Achrebuanda, a farming community situated downstream of the Pra River in the Shama district of the Western region, is one of the beneficiary communities. Though there is no Galamsey activity happening in the area, the community, by its location, is feeling the impact of illegal mining several kilometers away from Galamsey sites in Ashanti and Central regions. Residents until now had no option than to resort to the use of the highly polluted Pra River for household chores. Children also take their morning bath in the dirty water before school. Afia Awoche is one of the residents concerned with the pollution of their water sources.
I just am quarter alam medugumna mejan and sana metumida baby no po idugala yawna no nsada near fine.
Thanks to Source of Hope, that situation will change as the community benefits from a borehole. Assemblyman the Emisakrom New Junction electoral area, Alpha Justice Wonche, is happy for the people.
We say this borehole has become our savior in terms of water resource, because school children, instead of coming here to bath, they are no more coming here. They are going to make good use of that borehole.
Chief Executive of Source of Hope, Dr. Opokua Osei-Yeboah, is unhappy at Achrebuanda and other Galamsey plague communities have been neglected by government.
These communities have a lot of difficulty getting clean water to do anything. And we can't forget, and it takes Source of Hope. We look at deep hidden communities like these and we reach out. We're looking at over 20 communities: Ashanti, Eastern, Western and Central. So these are the communities that we're targeting. The ones that are close to the areas where they have seen the most impact.
Dr. Opokua, a medical doctor in public health in the US, is afraid of the consequences illegal mining could have on unborn babies. She wants the government and other stakeholders to pay attention to communities along river bodies affected by Galamsey.
There's so much chemicals in that water, and it will actually affect, the prenatal child. So if a pregnant woman is drinking this water, it can cause neurological effects on the development of the child. So it is in fact a very, very big problem that we really, really need to look at and create some policies to try to address this.
From Achrebuanda in the Western region for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
It's a wrap on the news. For more, log on to www.myjoyonline.com. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. Do enjoy the rest of the program. Welcome aboard. Of course, we'll be getting into the papers shortly to let you know what exactly is happening. I think we'll hit social media a bit. Not now, but what we've seen on the back of a certain expose. Galamsey economy. We'll be talking a bit about that. Mapito,
good morning. Ben, how you doing?
I'm okay.
I see you got my email last night. I told you to wear black and you're a kid. I appreciate it.
She's actually fibbing. There was no memo, but we got in here. It's happened, this is the third time or so.
Is it the third time?
Where we've unintentionally, unwittingly dressed alike. Black shirt, black outfit.
So
but
that's
you're
what
rocking
happens. So are you. Thank you. That's what happens when you spend a lot of time with some people. It's like when you're dating someone, right? And you guys you date for a long time. First of all, you guys start looking alike, and then you just pick up their mannerisms, and you just...
Is that true across the board, or is it based on the depth of love? Because I have seen some people, I mean, I look at their pictures. These are more maybe older couples, and you look at their pictures initially, and they weren't so... But as they grew... They started looking alike. I find it weird, but it doesn't happen to everybody. It's not a cut across situation.
It doesn't happen to everybody, but I think if it's not like the looks, the mannerisms, some of the things that you say, you pick it up. Because when you're talking and then you're like, sorry, please, yes, please, no, please, you pick it up.
You pick some things.
Yeah, you pick some things up. So I think we have something going on. We had a thing going on. Yeah. You good?
I'm okay.
What are you thinking about?
Some things came to mind, but we'll leave them there. Right before we get into the papers talk about them as well. But what do you think about... Yesterday we had quite a bit to talk about.
Yeah.
The Minister of Finance at the presidency. I'm talking about Charles Edubuahin. And what has emanated from Galamsey economy, which sort of got him into tricky straits.
Yeah.
What's your take on that before I usher in Bridget Jogmanuku?
Honestly, right now I don't have any take because I haven't watched the documentary, and I feel like it would be unfair for me to have some sort of a take from the things I've seen on social media, the reactions. So I'd rather watch the documentary, the full documentary, see what the whole brouhaha is about, and then maybe I can share
your own
thoughts.
assessment.
Yeah.
Right. I've also seen a few reactions. I didn't watch the full thing either, but I've read excerpts of it. I followed what happened yesterday on Top Story and Newsnight tied to that, and it makes for interesting conversations. It's so reminiscent of, is it number 12?
Yeah.
I believe, the one that downed Kwesi Nyantechi. And what I find worrying, though, the standout worry for me is the fact that in number 12, the two people in charge of this country had their names sort of brought up. And here again, there are those instances. I find it worrying. And I also like the reaction of the vice president. Very blunt, this person, blah, 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 blah. I've never had anything. I listened to Dr. Is it Gideon Wako? Responding that the vice president, doesn't do these things and all of that. I saw the vice president's post himself saying that his integrity is paramount. And I feel those were apt responses, straight to the point that, look, this and that. But my worry is why in two exposés, back to back for an ass, you have some of these things coming
mentioned.
up. Sometimes perception can be quite a problem. Even if it isn't the reality, because we don't know, even if.
Another question is, why do they feel so comfortable in mentioning these names?
Exactly.
It's like, okay, because I'm not going to mention that, Benjamin Akakpo, or I can sort you out with AM Show. If you need a source in AM Show, I can, speak to my producer, Echo. The only reason I'm so comfortable in saying that, I'll get you a slot on the AM Show is because I know the relationship I have with Echo. I know the things that we have done. I know the conversations that we've had. So now the question is, why do they feel so comfortable in mentioning
But sometimes
names?
in peddling influence, especially for government officials, someone may say things that they may not necessarily have the power to do or just to
Possibly,
get. And you would also notice that in both instances, Kwesi Nyantechi, and I'm treading cautiously here, Charles Edubuahin, because it's a convoluted issue. It appears once money is seen, once they see money, shopping money and the rest, then sometimes
they become very glib, very, forthcoming, saying things that, I don't know. Because if you recall number 12 and Kwesi Nyantakyi, after seeing that stash of money, the dollars and how he was gushing. And for me, back then, it was the rapidity with which he penned that memorandum of understanding, that MOU. I mean, what?
It's crazy.
Money can do things, though.
Money can
especially in this kind of economy.
I tell you. So our prayer for today is that may we get our appearance fee in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, please give us our appearance fee. Amen.
Through legitimate means. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Bridget Jokbenuku. We don't want any illicit means that will bring us trouble.
Sure.
Bridget, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Mapito.
Yes, good morning, Bridget.
We all call her Maps for short, just to say
Mapito. I'm curious, where does the name come from? South Africa?
South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and first time you pronounced it, fantastic. Thank you for that.
Unjani.
Nyapila Gunjani.
That's all I know.
Oh, I'm getting sold out. Hope you sold me for something for something valuable. I mean, a good value. But Bridget, so quickly, I always do this when you join us. I'd like to find out, what is your economic situation like? Is it any better since the last time we spoke? And as you do business, again, have you had to hike your prices? After that, maybe you can add your quick thoughts on the development so far, Galamsey economy by Anas.
Okay. No, it's worsened actually. Things, you see, I deal in, it's agribusiness, and what has happened is that there is no palm fruits in the market or in season. The palm fruit season is lean. I think I said the last time I was here that this year has been particularly dire. I know other producers of other palm products who have stopped producing. And therefore, the women who produce my brand don't have the raw materials to produce. So we're getting it in little bits, drips and drabs. And when that is there, when that happens, of course, demand is more than supply. So the price definitely goes much, look, it's astronomically high. Yesterday, I went to Medina Market. I love to go to the market. And I went to Medina Market yesterday. And I asked one of the women who sells Jeremy palm oil, I said, how much is that? And she said the 1.5 liter bottle was 50 cedis. And it's not even branded. It's in a used Voltic bottle sitting there. I was shocked.
How much does yours go for again? 1.5 liters?
I don't have 1.5 liters. I have 2 liters. And the last time, price changes all the time. I mean, as you can tell. So the last time it was selling at, I think, 85 at 2 liters. Okay. But mind you, this has more value added, if you like, clean packaging, labeling, and all the other overheads that come with it. So, but you are assured of a fantastic, unadulterated, pure, original product. So it's a struggle. Right now, as I sit here, for the last 2 weeks, I haven't gotten any products. And I have orders. People are waiting. I just have to, pray that the situation rectifies itself, or the tree starts to fruit, and we get some products. But I guess that also is an opportunity to see how we can counter this lean season. Like I said, it's normally not like this. Even when it's lean season, yes, we still get some products, but it's not as much as you get during the bumper season. But this year has been particularly dire. So it's an opportunity to see what we can do when this happens again, if it does happen again. It did happen once, a number of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we must learn how to produce, preserve, stock. It's an agro product. It's a product that rides on flavor and scent, and sometimes when it's stored in a certain manner, it may lose its flavor.
Right.
So we've got to look at all that and deal with it.
Maybe before we get into the Anas bit, let's hit the papers because they say a lot about those stories. Let's start with the New Crusading Guide.
Okay, so let's go to the New Crusading Guide. And Ghanaians throng the AICC to watch the Galamsey economy. Also on that page, my integrity is my priceless asset, and I won't allow anyone to ruin it. That's according to Vice President Baumea. And follow from Anas expose, President sacks Charles Edubuahin and reports him to the special prosecutor. We also have government will collaborate with security agencies to combat illegal mining. That's according to Merku Dukur. So let's go and read about the Galamsey economy. So people from diplomatic community as well as from respectable institutions and so many individuals from all walks of life were seen in the long queue at the premises of the conference center to have a glimpse of that documentary. Some fallouts from the Anas expose, President Sax Edu Buahin reports him to the special prosecutor. Now, in a statement on Monday from the presidency, the Director of Communications said after being made aware of the allegations leveled against the minister in the expose Galamsey economy, the president spoke to Mr. Edubuahin, after which he took the decision to terminate his appointment and also refer the matter to the special prosecutor for further investigations. He said the president thanked Mr. Edubuahin for his strong services to his government, his appointment in 2017, and wished him well in his future endeavors. Another interesting story is government will collaborate with security agencies to combat illegal mining. Now, 44 officers drawn from Ghana, Benin, Botswana, Gambia, Liberia, Malawi, Namibia, Nigeria, South Africa, and Togo participated in an academic and capacity building exercise themed illegal mining and the socio-economic impact on communities. Now, Mr. Merku Duka detailed that the small-scale mining sector has provided direct and indirect employment to thousands of Ghanaians. With these enormous benefits, the Deputy Minister lamented the challenges stifling the growth of the sector and threatening sustainability of the mining economy as well as the country's security. Whilst admitting the challenges confronting the country, he said certain measures rolled out by the government have been to tackle the challenge have been rolled out. He also noted these policies, among others, the introduction of community mining scheme, purchasing of mercury-free mining equipment, strengthening the Department of the Minerals Commission, and training of river guards and procurement of speedboats are already yielding positive results with this fight. He emphasized that these measures will not only end illegal mining activities, but also provide employment opportunities, which will reduce possible security threats. Bridget, two stories here. We have that government will collaborate with security agencies to combat illegal mining. Galamsey is something that we have been trying to fight. Are we winning the fight? I mean, they say that now they'll add security agencies. We have speed boats. That's the first one I'd like to get your thoughts on. And also the Galamsey economy, the president sacking Charles Edubuahin and reporting him to the special prosecutor. Bridget?
Well, I think that government has been collaborating with security agencies, at least the military, ever since we started this war on Galamsey. So I don't see anything that's new about that. If they're saying they're going to renew it or include more people or more of the security agencies, fine. But from what we know, and I said it on another forum, some of the security agencies or some of the military men who were deployed to go and fight or battle Galamsey or arrest or stop Galamsey were compromised. And we've heard some of the Galamsey operators say that, we feed them and we give them money.
Yeah.
So they are compromised. So saying this, well, it's good PR, but, act it, do it, and let's make sure it's done properly. We are in trouble with Galamsey. Our rivers are all polluted. The other day, we actually saw the sea that had been polluted as well. And frankly, we cannot allow a few selfish people to destroy our country, our environments, our climate, our waters, our farms. Everything is being killed, is being destroyed.
Yeah.
Because of a few selfish people. And I haven't watched Galamsey Economy, but we'll come to that. The politicians are involved. I mean, the CDD, and I was involved in the CDD research. I wasn't involved in the research, but I've been with a few working groups. And they talk about how campaigns are financed with Galamsey money, such illicit financing, including Galamsey. And the two parties have not denied it. So really, we need to see the gravity of the situation where the country is being, people will die.
Yeah.
I don't know how we expect to make money at the expense of people's lives, So saying it is one thing. We hear them, but do it and ensure that it is done properly and in honesty.
So what measures do you think we should put in place to actually fight this Galamsey menace?
Galamsey must be banned. We must ban it and start looking at it holistically, properly.
Yeah.
People have said it's our livelihood and it's our job, but this has gone beyond livelihood.
Yeah.
When it goes beyond what you must have to eat every day and becomes greed, this is what it has become. It has gone beyond livelihood. I tell you, if those farms existed, all those farms that have been destroyed, if they still existed, people will not be thinking about livelihood, because livelihood really is food, shelter, food and shelter. And we are destroying everything and indeed destroying the livelihood, because now it's about money, it's about greed, it's about acquisition of wealth, and not really livelihood anymore.
All right. So before you comment on the Galamsey Economy documentary, Benjamin, I want to bring you in, for the benefit of some of our viewers who
and that
don't.
Docu, by the way, extends into so many things.
Yeah. So give us like a brief, some PowerPoints about this Galamsey Economy.
Well,
what you've read
the focus so far has been on Charles Edubuahin, the Minister of Finance at the presidency, and what exactly those decisions were. He is in somewhere in the UAE, and he's having an interaction with some sheikhs concerning an investment in Ghana in the banking sector. And then he is cutting deals, so to speak, suggesting that he can negotiate their meeting, the vice president, and that these would be the requirements, some $200,000 of payment made, and that the vice president's family also need to be taken care of. These could be through contracts that would be offered, and that, basically some processes must be followed. He talks about some 20%, I think, that he would want in terms of commission on an investment of about 500 million. So 20% there would be about 100 million. So there are so many things in there, but those are some of the things that emanate from that, at least the snippets that I have seen. Did you ask whether it was dollars, Bridget?
Yes.
We're talking dollars, yes.
Yes, you must add the currency so that we realize how huge that amount is.
My bad. Well, let's, if you're done with...
So your thoughts are on that?
Well, like you, Mapito, I haven't seen the video or I haven't seen it yet. But I've read excerpts from it, and I heard on another medium, a summary of it. I don't know if it goes beyond that and talks about Galamsey as is being practiced. But the interesting thing, or the irony of it all, is Charles Edubuahin's nickname is actually Galamsey. I don't know if it's Galamsey or Galansey, but that is what we called him. I knew him when we were in university. So I don't even know.
That's a new one. You say his nickname back then was what? Galamsey or Galansey? Really? How did he get that?
Something like that, yes. So
I was just asking, how did he get that name? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't in the same secondary school with him. He came to, we met in Legon. That's how I know him. But I wondered, therefore, whether the expose was a play on his nickname. I wondered.
Right.
I also wondered whether, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it covers the whole issue of Galamsey and the mining menace and all that. But you said something, Benjamin, from the beginning. Some names have been mentioned, and they were mentioned in number 12. So there's a certain pattern developing. The person is lured or invited to the UAE. I wish that these victims or subjects would at least be wary or look out for such temptations. I mean, you saw it. If you saw it happen to one person, you start to think, well, why am I being invited to the UAE? But you see, when greed and money comes into play, you are blinded. Your senses and your antenna is the signals between your antenna don't connect anymore. You don't even see the lure or the temptation. I read somewhere that he said it was entrapment. You know, when an animal is trapped, it's normally trapped in the path within which it walks.
Yeah.
So if you walk that path all the time, you will be trapped. You know. So it's not an excuse. I think they must take responsibility for what they have done personally to say, I was greedy and I fell for this. It's a pity that it's happened to him. I am sure, or I am sure that there are a few others in the pipeline, and they must be outed one way or other, either through Anas Arimayao, thank you very much, or by any other means. I think that if the president and the vice, whose names are always dropped in these things, are really serious about their image and how they are put out there, they must fish out these people, these ministers, their officials, their appointees, and really get rid of them.
Right.
They have done a good thing with Charles Edubuahin, but there might be others in there, and we just wait to see what Anas Arimayao will bring to us. I think Charles here has been made a scapegoat of, and a public display of, and probably behind the scenes, he's going to be, pacified in some way or other. If this is not true, we need to see a lot more like this, and this would be the case of even what happened with the procurement agency,
right? The PPA boss,
a few others who were caught pants down, for lack of a better phrase, and made an example of.
Okay. Let me just add up to that from the Daily Guide, and then we'll segue into other stories. So I've already mentioned the $200,000 bid that he spoke of when it comes to the president and the vice president, and that is also my curiosity, why in number 12 their names are mentioned, and here again. But just to quote Edubuahin here, he says, you mean like appearance fees and stuff? He's talking about the sum of money. I mean, he himself, that is the vice president, if you give him some $200,000 or something as a token or as thank you appreciation, that's fine. He's not really like that. All he needs to worry about is his campaign money in 2020, Mr. Edubuahin reportedly told Tiger Eye investigators at a meeting in a hotel room in the United Arab Emirates. And the statement also explained, the presidency reacted, and their statement explained that the decision to sack him, that is Edubuahin, came after the president was made aware of the allegations leveled against the minister in the expose Galamsey economy. Of course, we also saw the vice president post on social media that his reputation is dear to him. We had Dr. Gideon Boakon also speak to the fact that he speaks for the vice president, saying that that is not something that the vice president is known for. And But looking at the trend, you've already started talking about it, but looking at this bit about campaign money in 2020, does it in any way, create a logical picture that there could be some fire to this smoke, according to what Edubuahin professes? Hello, Bridget. We may have lost Bridget momentarily. I would like to know what, Mapito, what people think on that. And also, Bridget, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Did you get my question, or should I reframe it?
You were wondering if there was any fire to the smoke
basically. Now that campaign financing is being brought up, and you know how expensive our campaigns are, what do you make of it?
I don't want to believe it.
I don't know. Should we have a system that can check into it and say, this person is cleared, this person is whistle clean?
Yes. Actually, after the CDD research, we've had working group meetings, and we are coming up with regulations as to how to check where campaign funds are coming from, and and things like that. So that can be checked. The vice president himself instituted the national ID. We have all these tin numbers and all that, so that things are linked to, unless you're dealing purely in cash. And even then, there is expenditure. So when you spend money on a certain kind of campaign, buying some kinds of things, we can question that where is that money coming from? The EC, for now, is the one supposed to check these audits, political parties and I suppose candidates, and how they how much money they spend and what they spend it on. But I think that going forward, we may need another also, and I would like to add that the PPP has always talked about public audited accounts and declaration of assets. We think that, the way we declare our assets right now as political figures is not transparent.
Right.
We're supposed to put declare our assets on some sheets of paper, fill this form, put it in a brown envelope, and deposit it at the Registrar Generals.
Right.
Now, nobody knows. That envelope is never opened. Nobody knows what's in it. Nobody knows what I've declared, that I have one car, I have one house, I have this or that or that. If within the first year of my of being in office, I build high-rise apartments, nobody is going to question where did that money come from as a public official. Because nobody actually saw what I declared as my assets. So we have always said in the PPP, let there be a public declaration of assets of all political players from the very beginning. So yes, if this money were to come in and the EC is working as it ought to, and maybe it is overwhelmed, maybe the EC ought to be just a supervisor of elections, and then there must be an independent body that audits political parties and political players, so that we know that this is where you are raising your money from and this is how you are expending it. Then when $100 million or $200,000 comes in from the United Arab Emirates, we can say, where from this money and how did you get it?
Yeah.
I want to believe the vice president that he's a good person, astute. I want to believe. I always trust first and have you disprove my trust. So this is my wish. This is my wish, really. We always wish for the best.
All right. We have to go shortly, but let me just, and on the back of that, there's also this Arab saying, or is it Russian? Trust but verify. That's why they will say, trust God, but tie your camel. Anyway, So just to wrap with other headlines, Opuni dismissed judges to continue trial. There's been a lot of talk about Justice Honyanuga and his hitting the statutory or mandatory retirement age for judges, which is 70, but the Chief Justice can allow him to continue, and that's what's happening there. Government opens You Start Jobs and Skills program. Picture there, Dr. John Ampontia Kuma, Deputy Finance Minister. And there's also Galamsey Queen forged marriage certificate for residential permit. And that is what is emerging now. Her marriage to one Fabian is being questioned. On the international front, stop associating war and violence to Islam. The Greater Accra Regional President of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission has said so. There's also Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, pledges to give away most of his wealth. And finally, Liberia president entitled to $2,000 foreign trip allowance. He's actually reportedly planning to watch his son play at the World Cup in Qatar.
All right, so I'm just going to do one story, well, two stories from The Finder quickly. So I won't allow anyone to ruin my integrity. Dr. Baumia. We also have Anas Expose Akufo-Addo, Sachs Edubuahim. But on page 4, EC revokes registration certificates of 17 political parties. Let's get into that story very quickly. Now, the Electoral Commission has struck out the names of some 17 political parties from Ghana's political parties register. I will mention them very quickly. The Democratic People's Party, DPP, United Front Party, UFP, United Development System, UDSP, Every Ghanaian Living Everywhere. We also have Yes People's Party, YPP. We also have United Ghana Movement, UGM, Democratic Freedom Party, New Vision Party, and Ghana Democratic Republican Party. Also, we have Ghana National Party, Power Unity Power Party, I beg your pardon, United Progressive Party, Reform Patriotic Democrats, People's Action Party, United Renaissance Party, National Reform Party, and United Love Party. Now, the notice of cancellation is under the hand of the EC chairperson. Between May and June 2022, the EC embarked on a nationwide exercise to inspect the offices of all registered political parties in Ghana. But after the exercise, the EC invoked Section 15(3)(c) of the Political Parties Act of 2000, Act 574, which mandates it to cancel the registration of political parties which do not have offices at the national and regional levels. Now, the general public is hereby informed that the registration certificates of these political parties I've mentioned have been cancelled in accordance with Section 15(3)(c) of the Political Parties Law 2000, Act 574, effective the first day of November 2022. Bridget, quickly, your reactions to this.
Oh, about the political parties. Well, I mean, yes, there are many players in there. People have advised that we, the minority parties, we don't call ourselves smaller parties anymore. We, the minority parties, must come together and form one big party. And maybe this might be the opportunity for those of them who have been cancelled. We all want the best for Ghana. If your party has been deregulated or, killed, as it were, do come and join those of us who are still there, and let's form that alternative for the betterment of Ghana. There were a lot of us on there. I mean, at the last elections, there were 17 of us on there.
Right.
And when that happens, some of us get missing on the ballot paper, even though we are very well intentioned. We have seen that these two parties may not mean well for, or leaving it as a duopoly does not work well for Ghana.
Yeah.
And we need a few stronger parties. So if they've been deregulated, by all means, the rest of us who are there have open arms. The PPP is ready to take on more members and, strengthen our party for 2024 to fight against these other two who are killing us.
Yeah.
Just to wrap with these headlines, Economy Times, government's revenue underperformance poses risk to fiscal consolidation. There's also CD depreciation to hike inflation further. And SEC, that is the Securities and Exchange Commission, not informed on possible debt restructuring and haircut. So that's according to the director saying that They have no knowledge of that situation. They've not been informed about any debt restructuring and haircut. The Daily Dispatch reflects some of the stories we've already done. EC kills 17 political parties. That's what it says. Akufo-Addo sacks Edubuahin and directs special prosecutor to investigate him. And then on dismissal of Edubuahin, Bawumia speaks on influence peddling. All of those stories in Economy Times and the Daily Dispatch. Any final words, Bridget, before I do one birthday?
Well, yes. I think that we've all been thrown up, for 6 with this Deputy Minister Charles Edubuahin's story. It's really sad. It shows that I don't think that Mr. Edubuahin is in need. I think this was greed, and we must all take a look and really hunker down and say, what is it we need to run this country properly? We've run out of good values, and we must come back with people who have those values, who want to run this country, not people who only believe in value, which is money.
Thank you so much for those concluding words, Bridget Jogbanuku.
Thank you very much.
One-time flag bearer of the PPP and a woman of many things, a businesswoman, if you like. Let's just wrap the conversation with a birthday wish. Happy birthday to you, Jacqueline, my very own bosom friend. It's been many years. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you and greetings to the family. May you grow to be what? Should we say 99.7?
99.7.
From our sister station. But coming up in sports, what can we expect, Mapito?
So we have Akufo-Addo, who is explaining the criteria for the Black Stars 26-man squad. We know that yesterday they released the list, and a lot of controversy around that. But Muftau Nabila has more for us in the sports segment right after this.
Good morning. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Yesterday, Black Stars head coach Akufo-Addo named a 26-man squad that will represent Ghana in this year's FIFA World Cup. Out of the 26 players that were announced yesterday, 23 of them are already in camp, and they will start preparations later this evening for that friendly match against Switzerland on Thursday. Only 3 players, Joseph Edu, Alexander Jiku, and Kamaldeen Suleiman, are the only players expected to arrive in camp later today to join up with the rest of the team to continue preparations for that friendly match and subsequently their trip to Qatar for the FIFA World Cup. The players who have been assembled, many people had different ideas of who should be selected to play in the Black Stars, and Akufo-Addo has been explaining the criteria he used to arrive at those 26 players.
Criteria on the pitch, but also off the pitch. And off the pitch criteria is surely, number one is the readiness and the willingness to come and play for the Black Stars whenever you're called. It should be always a big honor, and I know as a player it always takes a lot of sometimes difficult circumstances, and you have to sacrifice sometimes because you're in between the club and the national team. You get injured. There are a lot of things happening which are not always going like the right way. You have to take sacrifices. But surely we expect this. We expect that you are trustful, because we know, and everybody knows in football, there's always a lot of happening, especially in the team. But the team for me it's not the family, but it's like a family. So everything which happens in the team should stay in the team. Sometimes we have discussions, quarrels, because there are hard tackles or whatsoever, but it should never go outside. I wouldn't have wouldn't have this, like say, open discussion when I have like a discussion with my wife to take it outside. It will stay inside the family, and we'll solve it inside the family. So it's a lot of things off the pitch. which are very, very important, values which are important for us. And then there are things on the pitch.
Well, after dropping some players, about 29 players from the final squad for the FIFA World Cup, Otto Addo says, calling those players to tell them they were not going to be part of the final team that were representing Ghana in this year's FIFA World Cup was the most difficult thing to do.
This is enough. Like I said before, we have to build a team. And this team building is true trust. How would the other players feel like if I'm talking about players? You know, you don't do this as a coach. You know, you respect that integrity, you build trust, and like I said before, I wouldn't like them also to talk bad about me. You know, and we have to fight together. You know, not against each other. And so I will never. I hope I will never talk about a player in a bad way.
In the last few days, you have been trending on end, trending. People saying coach has done that, coach has done that. How have you dealt with it personally?
I know, I mean, I've been a player, I know the system and how things go, and yeah, you know, sometimes if you don't seek for revenge and to go on backwards, sometimes you even get more blessings, you know? So if people think they have to say something negative about me or about the squad, then they should do it. It's their business, you know? It's not my problem, and at the end, like I said, it's not a kindergarten to go forth and back, and we just try our best to build a good team.
How much of a relief is this, taking this press conference out of the way and now having to focus for the World Cup itself?
Yeah, it was not, to me, to be honest, it was not a big deal. The big deal was to call the players or some players and tell them they're not the squad. This is for me the worst part as a coach, but the rest is nothing.
Okay.
Well, everyone has got an opinion on who should have made the final squad for the FIFA World Cup. President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okwego, has called on Ghanaians to throw their weight behind the 26 players who have been selected by the technical team for the competition. He says Ghanaians should stop the negativity surrounding the players who have been selected.
Let's get ourselves behind our Black Stars. It is the only national team that we have. Whether Kurt made it to the squad or Kurt didn't make it to the squad, that discussions must end. The discussions from this minute, once the list comes public, is that this is our own. This is our Black Stars. These are the men who have been empowered, who have been chosen by the technical team to go out there to make our dear country great and strong. All the negativity around the team must stop. Let's be positive. Let's rally around the flag, and let's make our dear nation great and strong.
Well, it appears that anytime Ghana is naming a final squad for a tournament, it is surrounded with drama. And about 12 years ago, similar drama was experienced when the team was in France, preparing for the FIFA World Cup. Well, Laie Kingston, a former midfielder of the senior national team, has opened up on why he was dropped from the final squad for the tournament. He leveled a plethora of allegations against former Black Stars head coach Milovan Rivard, claiming that he had asked him to sign for his agent before he would be taken to the FIFA World Cup. He also mentioned the names of some players who were taken to the tournament after agreeing to sign for Milovan Rivard. This is our wrap-up AM Sports here with me, Muftar Nabila Abdullahi.
Milo should come out clean and tell Ghanaians that he want me to sign with his agent, and I turned it down.
Milo asked you to sign for his agent and you refused?
Yes. From what you are telling me that he gave the list to them, okay, to the management and said, okay, remove anyone from it and put me in. That shows that he had something against me. Because he offered me for his agent, and I turned it down.
Did you tell the FA this?
No.
Why?
No, I didn't.
Why did you not tell them?
I felt it's not necessary. It's between me and him. But for what you are telling me now, that he gave the list to the management and told them to take whoever they should take out. You can't tell me that 23-man squad you took to the tournament. I cannot fit into that system. No chance. No chance.
No, I'm quite surprised to hear this. So are you suggesting that most of the players that Milo accepted to go to the World Cup with them, some of them agreed to sign for his agent?
Most of them, especially the younger ones that made the team. If you go check the background, they signed with Milo's agent. Yes.
Most of those players signed?
Yeah.
Like how many?
Oh, a lot. Especially the younger ones that came through. Especially the younger ones.
Okay, because if you talk about the younger ones, I can talk of Nkuma, I can talk of Jonathan Mensah, Andre Ayew, Dominic Adia.
Yes. All those boys, they were Milo's agent. I forget his name. I met them in Egypt. Myself, Milo, and him met them in Egypt. He was talking about Blackburn deal. So I have to sign with them. All I did was give my agent's number, talk to my agent, that's it. They never got back to me. So it looks like, for what you are telling me today, made me understand that, okay, then he had problem with me. So when you look at it, he's not thinking about the nation, he's not thinking about what he can do with the squad that he has. He's thinking about what he can achieve.
If you've just joined us, we are still speaking to Laye Kingston, a former Black Stars player, a former Hearts of Oak player, a former Hearts, I mean the Hearts in Scotland, not the Hearts you know, player. And he's a man who also played for Hearts of Oak Rivals, played for Olympics. That's where his career actually began. He's been sharing with us his story, how he got to the football space, how he started out as a boxer. Now we're talking about his national team career, where he wanted to play the World Cup, something that never happened. Like Kingston, you mentioned something that is quite interesting, that you did admit that when you were told that you were not going to the World Cup 2010, you banged the door on the people who invited you to the meeting. But one thing too that others have also argued was that, just like you personally mentioned, you knew you were aging and 2010 World Cup was supposed to be like, how should I put it, your swan song to the national team. There are others who have also said that Milo did something when the team was camping in France. He decided to play the younger players against the senior players so that he could select his team. And that probably also influenced his decision on who to go to the World Cup and who not to go. And not your position that because he wanted you to sign for his agent, that's why he didn't take you to the tournament.
Yeah, I quite remember the training camp that we went.
Yes.
We did not even train. All we did is advert for Puma, left, right, center. The only time that we went on the football pitch proper for us to have football boots to go and train is when we got there. After warm-up, then he divided the team into two. And it showed clearly that you can see the younger players on one side and the older players on one side. Yes. But you cannot stand on that one training game.
But the younger players beat the senior players. I hear was it 4-1 or 5-1?
Yeah, but it's in training. It can happen to be like most of the senior players. We go into the World Cup, it's training. You have to be careful. Take it easy. You cannot stand on one game to pick your final 23. No, you've already made his mind already. It should be, I'm a technical person. I should be very transparent enough for Ghanaians. If I'm being picked as a national coach, I'll be very transparent to Ghanaians that, and I will justify each and every, explain why this player is there, this player is not there. I will not hide behind anything. With him, I think he has something more than,
on a hindsight,
more than using that one training game to make the 23-man squad.
On a hindsight, Laye, do you think you should have reported this incident to the management of the FA that Milo wants you to sign for his agency and you are refusing to do it? On a hindsight, do you think you should have reported?
For me, I believe that time I should be more professional to keep it on for myself, and then for Milo himself. You understand me? I don't want...
No, but as someone who has the interest of the nation at heart, you cannot allow someone, a Serbian to be that, for that matter, who was being paid with the taxpayers' money,
but that moment,
doing business with the national team at the expense of the state. So as someone who had the interest of the state at heart, you should have told the leadership of the FA, this is what your coach is doing.
I quite remember before leaving the room, if the management will recollect, before I banged the door, the only thing I said to Milo is he should finish his business and then get out of my country.
You told Milo to finish his business and get out of his country.
Get out of my country. So that time, I said it.
You shouldn't have waited for him to finish his business.
By that time, he's the boss. He's decided he's taking me out of the team already. So when I was leaving, if the management will testify, this is the right words I said to him. Finish doing your business and go away from my country. That's what I said to him. That's the exact words I said to him. And then went and then banged the door. I was fuming that time because it was very difficult for me. It was very tough for me. And me, I'm very honest. I say it as it is. I was very honest. I showed everybody around the team that no, I was really hurt. I was jogging, trying to be fit because I know this is the last one. This is the last one. And someone took it away from you? No. No. Someone took it away from you? No.
Do you regret working with Milo?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. Because there is a saying that coaches can make you and break you. And I think Milo broke me. He broke me, he did.
Coaches can make or break you, and Milo broke Laie Kingston. Yeah. Do you sometimes feel that you were never destined to play at the World Cup?
Now I would say yes, because my career is over. But I still believe I can be there. As different positions.
Maybe as a coach or something?
Yes, of course. So far as I'm in the game, I've not given up. I have to enjoy that thing. I have to feel it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that coach. We'll get to that.
Welcome back on the AM show as we get into our first big story. And President Akufo-Addo, just yesterday, terminated the appointment of Charles Edu-Boahen, Minister of Finance at the presidency. And it has raised quite the stir among people. It is on the back of that latest ANAS expose, Galamsey economy. There are so many matters arising, but we get into the substantive issues with our guests this morning, who will be joining us at talk on these matters. Vitus Azim is an anti-corruption campaigner. We have lawyer Martin Pebu and Bobby Banson, also a lawyer, joining us for this conversation. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. All right, so we'll start with Vitus Azim, an anti-graft campaigner who joins the conversation on phone. Vitus, if you can hear me, a very good morning to you, sir.
I can hear you.
Great. Just to kickstart the conversation, there have been calls for the sacking of Ken Ofori-Atta, Charles Edu-Boahen, among others. And now this has come up, basically forcing the hand of the system, the powers that be. What is your reaction to this dismissal, even before we get into what led to the dismissal? What is your reaction to it?
Well, I think this termination is not for the same reason that people were calling for his removal. People were calling for his removal and the removal of his boss because of the mess that we find ourselves in.
Right.
But this is a different thing, probably because of impersonation.
I mean, the end...
influence peddling.
The result is the same, isn't it?
Possible impersonation and the influence peddling.
Mr. Azim,
so I pose... This is a different matter.
I posed that question to you because the result, the end, is the same, isn't it?
I'm not getting you well.
What people wanted, whether he goes for this matter, which borders on, corruption in a way, or failure to actually be the best or deliver the best to the country in terms of being a finance minister. Either way, he is no longer at post. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but you see, if you read the letter that the president wrote to him, he was thanking him for his strong performance. So it is not because of the performance at the Ministry of Finance or poor performance at the Ministry of Finance that he's removed. So this does not satisfy those of us or those people that were calling for their removal. And in any case, removing him without removing the finance minister doesn't still solve that issue. Because he was working under the Minister of Finance. And so if he's removed and the Minister of Finance himself is still at post, I don't think that the president has been able to satisfy most Ghanaians.
So in other words, you still take exception to what has happened because it was not on the back of what you would term the abysmal performance of him and his counterpart, Ken Ofori-Atta, because this came up, and you feel hard done by that?
Yeah, I feel that this has not met our expectations. You see, there is a reason why he has been removed. The reason is not because of his poor performance at the Minister of Finance.
Right.
And if that was the reason, then the Minister of Finance himself would have also gone. But the president has continuously said the Minister of Finance is doing a good job and all that. And even in the letter to Mr. Dumois, the president thanked him for his strong performance. So it is a different matter. And I even think that the vice president could have taken the matter to court if he's not satisfied. He should treat it as a personal matter, in addition to his removal.
Let me ask you, how do you, I mean, these are your initial thoughts. We're not getting into a full-scale conversation yet, but how do you react to the response of the vice president? He comes out forcefully to say he doesn't have any ties to this situation, though his name has been mentioned by a minister of state, and that his integrity is paramount to him, that he wouldn't do anything to compromise it. We've heard from Dr. Gideon Boakon, who also speaks for the vice president, saying that the vice president he knows doesn't do this, doesn't engage in such activities, and that it would be unheard of for him to do such a thing. How do you react to that? Some have said that it's an apt response that the vice president put out on social media and through the sacking of Charles Eduboahen. Was it that apt for you?
Well, I think that it's normal for that action, the response to have been made. Now, whether it is a good response or it's a bad response would depend on whether the vice president is able to completely exonerate himself from those allegations from the accusations that are made against Charles Eduboahen. This is his word against what the vice president has said.
Right.
You and I were not there. We don't know whether that conversation actually took place and whether any money passed through Charles Eduboahen to the vice president or not. For now, we cannot tell. But anybody that is accused of something usually will come out and deny. Even sometimes when you are aware, you still come and say you are not aware until you get further information. So for now, it was a good response, but it's difficult for us to say to believe or not to believe what he said. But he couldn't have just kept quiet. As for the termination, we cannot even be sure of what will come as a result of the termination or the reason for the termination. Is it because he's dragged the name of the vice president into the mud? Or is it because there's likely to be further names coming up that they don't want revealed? Is it are they pulling the ear of the Charles Eduboahen to ensure to bring him to rein him, to make sure that he does not go astray or what? We don't yet know for that.
Tell me quickly before I go to Bobby Banson, who is a lawyer, do you find it a matter of concern that in number 12, which pointed to, in fact, I believe the biggest casualty in number 12 was Kwesi Nyantakyi, former boss of the GFA. Interestingly, the names of the vice president and the president were mentioned. And this person even suggested that they were in his pocket. In this instance, it comes up again, maybe not so forcefully on the standpoint of the president, but more on the standpoint of the vice president. Do you find it a concern, whether for the sake of reality or perception, that the two crucial figures of our country, the CEO and the deputy CEO, aka the president and the vice president, keep having their names mentioned in this light? First, by a GFA boss, and now by a minister of state. How concerned are you?
It is a serious concern, and it is worrying for two things. Either it gives the impression that this actually happens, that the people actually stand to benefit, those two people stand to benefit, and that what is being said may have some truth in it, which is the negative part of it. Or the positive side is that some people are using their names for personal gain.
Right.
Either way, there's concern for it, that if people can use our vice president and the president's name for personal benefit, it's a worry. But the other side is a more worrying part, that if it's true that this is what actually happens, that the people are benefiting, the two individuals are benefiting, that is a more serious worry, because they are the highest people in this country, and you don't expect that to be the case in this country. It's giving a bad name, not only to them, but to the country as a whole. And it is a worry. It has to do with investors and all that. It's a very serious case.
Do hold for me, Mr. Azim. Let me bring in Bobby Banson, a lawyer. Bobby, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. I think you may have to unmute, Bobby Banson.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Great.
And
it's been a while. I hope you've been keeping well.
Yes, I have been. We've all been managing ourselves since the economic situation spiraled out of control.
I see. It's hitting you too, eh?
Like they say, you go catch everybody.
You catch everybody. We pray for better times so we all can live better. But on this development, I'd like to start from your general view of, I don't know, have you seen this latest documentary?
I have.
Bobby, I'm losing you. The sound is not so clear.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
It's better.
Is
yes,
it better?
Go ahead.
Okay. I have read the statements that have been put out by Tiger Eye,
right,
but I have not watched the documentary myself. I believe the statement is more or less a summary of what was captured in the videos, and the timing is very relevant. We must put it in that context. Okay. But it doesn't also take away the fact that there has been allegations of things like this. For me, the reaction by the presidency is quite unique. Let me put it that way, because we are aware it is not the first time. It is not the first time that Tiger Eye has come up with such an allegation or expose, as it were, against members of the government.
Right.
In some instances, you would have situations where the presidency has said that they have looked at the allegations, they do not find any basis in it, and then will not proceed or take any steps on it. In other instances, you find that the president said they have directed the matter to the CID, and the CID has come up to say after investigations, they do not find any person capable. I'm talking about the Galamsey issues and the special committee, as it were, established at the presidency for that, and the allegations of bribery that came with it. But with this particular instance, the action by the presidency was very swift. You would ask yourself whether or not the presidency is convinced with this work to say that with this one, he's very sure that it actually happened or not. So the reaction by the presidency is one that has not followed the normal course of reaction by the presidency when it comes to such allegations of bribery or corruption or influence peddling against members of his government.
Now, mention has been made, before we backtrack, mention has been made of the timing. You heard Vitus say that for him, the value may be the same in terms of what some of them wanted, that Ken Ofori-Atta and Charles Edubuahin are not performing, for which reason they should be sacked. But in this instance, his problem has to do with the fact that they were not sacked, or at least he, Charles Edubuahin, has not been sacked because of failing to do the right thing for our economy, but he's been sacked because of something corruption related. Do you share that opinion?
Well, I get where Mr. Vitus is coming from, but for me, I think that the fact that he was sacked, I mean, the president had made it obvious that he wasn't going to sack them based on the agitations by the civil society mainly, saying that they have failed to perform. And so if this has given the president the opportunity to sack him, I believe that this is a worse reason, for lack of a better word, to sack a minister. Because mind you, this publication dents his credibility everywhere he goes as somebody who has been sacked by his appointing authority on allegations of bribery and corruption. More or less, if he's not careful, it will not only shut his political career, but his private career as well. Before he got into politics, he had a very thriving private business. Now that this has happened, I think that it will have more impact on his private business than if he was sacked by the president for non-performance. So even though he wasn't sacked on the grounds that a lot of members of civil society or the general populace wanted him to, I believe that if you look at the impact that this would have on his career as a politician or his career as a private person, I believe this is worse. This is worse.
And so, well, the president's hand may have been forced. Let's talk about, you made mention of whether this actually happened. We don't know the full detail, but from what you gather, from all the talk about $200,000 for the vice president, the shopping money that he received, and the appearance fee, and the talk about eventually $500 million if you're going to make this investment coming to the banking sector, and 20% of a cut for me. Legally speaking, does that suffice? Because again, we're faced with a situation where people are saying this is sheer or mere entrapment. How do we disentangle this legally?
Well, I have always maintained that there are legal problems with what has become known as the ANAS method. You see, criminal prosecution thrives on evidence, admissible evidence. There must be a complaint lodged by a person. The person who lodges the complaint must be able to give evidence in court and must subject himself to cross-examination by the suspect or lawyers for the suspect. Now, you ask yourself whether or not, in all these matters that ANAS or Tiger Eye has been able to come up with, how many of them have ended up going through criminal prosecution based on those evidence alone? Apart from the persons who have been affected saying they are resigning on their own and then suing Tiger Eye for whatever legal remedies that they may be. And I do not see this situation being different. So, yes, Tiger Eye has put it out there. The president's reaction, it's maybe to make sure that the perception is not there that he is actually condoning some of these things. But as to whether or not it will be a basis for a criminal prosecution, I have my own doubts in terms of the technicalities. We may say that, yes, the perception is there. That, I believe, is what will affect the integrity of all these persons that have been affected. I do not think that the defense of entrapment would take away the perception. You see, if you do not have that, what is the word? That inclination in you, it will be difficult for somebody to entrap you. And mind you, if you look at it or if you read this particular instance, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Finance was also offered a gift, for lack of a better word, right? His PA was also offered a gift, but the two of them from the expose refused it. In the expose concerning the judges, some judges were on record to have refused the gifts, and their names were mentioned in the expose. So if you go and you receive the gift, then you come back, or bribe or whatever it is, you come back and say, I was entrapped. Do you need to be entrapped before you would know that you have an obligation first to your conscience, to yourself, to your family, and more importantly to the state, not to engage in any acts that would have criminal consequences? You do not need somebody to trap you. If you have sworn an oath as a minister, or as a civil servant, or as a public servant, or as anybody that is in public office, to make sure that you discharge your obligations in accordance with law, and somebody comes to offer you bribe to take, and you say that if the person had not offered you bribe, you would not have accepted it, and so that is a defense to you participating in the bribery, I think that it's a very shaky grounds. And so in as much as I think that there may be legal challenges if some of these recordings form the sole basis of a criminal prosecution, I also think that the defense of entrapment, as they always put out there, may not be a very solid defense.
I mean, we saw it come up with the Kwesi Nyantakyi issue and a number of, the Anasa exposés. You feel that merely, calling on or falling on entrapment may not suffice, as we've already heard coming up. It may not suffice.
I think that it will be difficult, especially in the context of the fact that there are other persons that did not fall for this so-called entrapment. It's not as if, you see, I believe that the entrapment issue may suffice mostly if somebody just drops money in your account, you don't know what it is for, and later the person comes to say that, oh, you asked them to drop the money and it is for this A, B, C, D, and you did not attempt to return it. But you have instances where you actively request for these things based on somebody offering to do an investment. And you say that if the person had not come to offer the investment, you would not have put yourself in a situation where you would have asked for these things. I think that criminal liability are two things. Whether there was the mens rea, that is the intent, whether there was the actus reus, and the absence of any legally strong defense. And so if you did not have the intention to have collected or engaged in that act of bribery and corruption, you would have refused it just like the other persons who were put in the same situation and also refused it. So that is my basis. I mean, it's a matter of legal interpretation or as it were. But I think that it varies depending on the circumstances of each case. Despite the fact that I have said that I think that there are also legal challenges if the sole evidence that any state would have to prosecute criminally would be the so-called video recordings or whatever that Tiger Eye team engages in.
Tell me, does it implicate him in any way, the fact that he takes this shopping money? What exactly could be something that complicates the situation for him or makes him complicit? Is it taking the shopping money? Is it requesting this appearance fee? What exactly, from what you've read so far, what is it that could create legal problems for Charles Adu Boahen beyond his sacking?
Well, for me, the questions that would have to be answered is whether or not he was contacted by these persons in his capacity as a Minister of State. If the answer is yes, whether or not he conducted himself in that capacity as a Minister of State to his personal benefit. If the answer is yes, whether or not he was offering these investors gains that they would not have ordinarily received in consideration of receiving money in return. If the answer is yes, then I think that there is a basis for any form of investigations by either the Special Prosecutor's Office, the Criminal Investigation Department, as it were, to find out whether he has abused his office for personal gain. So yes, there will be a basis for any such investigation. But for me, more importantly, is his reputation as an astute businessman. Because you see, once you expose yourself to public office, you open yourself up to some of these temptations, for lack of a better word. If you fall for them, they do not only follow you as a politician, they also follow you in your private businesses, especially if you're engaged in business that requires integrity. And so tomorrow, if he's out of office and his name pops up in any private engagement, anybody who wants to do due diligence on who we are engaging, the first stop will be to go to the internet, because on his CV, he cannot take away the fact that he has been Minister for Finance before. First Deputy, I think so. And then
so he's a Minister of
Finance
at the presidency.
At the presidency, yes. But you know, how many people would distinguish where? Once he's Minister of Finance, he's Minister of Finance.
Right.
If they start doing due diligence, the question is, how did he leave his job? And if he does not take steps to clear his name, which people have done against some of these announced exposés, if he does not take steps to clear his name, then this would be hanging on his head. God knows until eternity. So for me, he should be concerned more on the dent that this will have on his reputation. One, as a person, as a businessman, then lastly, as a politician, than the criminal prosecution, which may suffer technical challenges. And if he's so sure that the videos have been doctored, it is not what it is, then like others before him who have found themselves in these situations have done, then it behoves on him to take the necessary steps to clear his name.
All right. So just a quick clarity there. He is Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. I just got that clarity. Sometimes it becomes a bit fuzzy. And some of these complications also come up because we know of a finance minister. In the past, we've not had all of these at the presidency and at this and at that. But anyway, we can play around with those. But very quickly, before I go back to Vitus Azim, the vice president has responded with some ferocity that he knows nothing about this situation, that this suggests influence peddling, that his integrity is crucial to him. We've heard his spokesperson, Dr. Gideon Boakon, also say this to us here and to other, media houses as well. Are you convinced by that? And I pose that question because this wouldn't be the first time that an expose by Anas has fingers pointing to both the vice president and the president. There is a repeat in this documentary. Whether for the sake of reality or perception, what does that paint? What picture does that paint?
Well, I was, I won't say happy, but I liked the reaction by the vice president. I think it was swift. It was direct. He didn't mince words. He said that if indeed the content of that footage is true, then the minister's position is not tenable, and so he should be dismissed. I mean, it's for the first time you see a member of government directly saying that another member of government who has implicated him should be dismissed. But the point to be made is that the point to be made is that he's implicated. He is the vice president, and he's been implicated in this matter. I mean, personal interest in that instance is also crucial, isn't it? No, but you see, what I was going to say was that beyond that statement, I am not sure what we expect from the vice president to do legally. And this is what I mean. The vice president was not there when these so-called conversations took place. Right. And so he's only a third party, just like all of us, what we have heard. He's only reacting because his name has been mentioned. Now, if he decides to lodge a complaint against Mr. Dubois, for what offense? That Mr. Dubois has engaged in corruption, or Mr. Dubois has used his name, or Mr. Dubois
to peddle influence.
Civil action has... Yes, but then he, as the vice president, will not have first-hand information of exactly what took place. So it is only Tiger Eye, and I'm talking about legally, it is only Tiger Eye operatives who were there when the so-called conversations took place, who would be able to commence or to as it were, bring any action or lodge any complaint against Mr. Dubois. For the vice president, if I sit in my house and I throw like Mr. what the expose on Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi did, if somebody sits in his house and say that the CEO of multimedia is in my pocket, it doesn't mean it's true. How do you expect the CEO of multimedia to sue the person for defamation if the CEO of multimedia was not sitting in that meeting? So if whoever has lost or has been defrauded, and I'm using the defraud loosely, has been defrauded by this so-called influence peddling, lodges a complaint and investigations commence, I am sure the vice president will be invited to say what he knows about his relationship with the finance minister. At that stage, if he's invited, then he will be able to come to say, I don't know him, I didn't send him, I have not received any money from him, I have not entered into any discussions relating this subject or any other similar subject. So then on that basis, the vice president will now be a witness, as it were, or somebody who is aiding in investigations. But I don't think legally the vice president can walk to the CID or the Special Prosecutor's Office to be a complainant. I believe that the appropriate complainant may be the Tiger Eye Office or any other person who has first-hand information or evidence in respect of this. And if the vice president's office is invited, which I think his office should be invited, then they will say what they know about it. Beyond that, I do not see how we would expect him to be a complainant in this case or take steps directly against Mr. Edubwahin.
Quick final one, and because we are dissecting the legal element, some things naturally follow through. I want to do this right after this, I'll get to Mr. Azim. Just to find out, so the sacking of Edubwahin, we know the president has not been in town, he's been in COP27, at COP27 in Egypt and all of that. The vice president is acting as president, but even there, legally speaking, people would say that technically there are things he cannot do. Per what Eugene Ahin, the Director of Communications at the Presidency, says, it's the President's directive, to sack Charles Edubwahin. There are certain scenarios that come to play. Some suggest he would have interacted with the President, though he's acting on his behalf, before taking such an action. Legally speaking, what are the dynamics as you know it?
Well, I think that we are maybe stretching the interpretation of those relevant provisions. The Supreme Court has said that the fact that the president is outside Ghana doesn't mean that he loses his authority as the president. They interpreted that when a similar situation went before them. I also think that because the vice president's name came up in the expose, it may raise certain issues in terms of perception, conflict of interest, cover-up, or as it were, if he directly took the decision in respect of the fate of the Minister of Finance. I think the president has not done anything wrong by directing that the appointment be terminated. Besides, he's the appointing authority, and only him can terminate. Either he directs somebody to do that or he does it himself.
Let me come to Vitus, and thank you so much for holding. I just had to exhaust the first batch of questions for Bobby Banton. Let me find out from you. You made mention initially when we started the conversation that the vice president would have to exonerate himself. Those were the words you used. Why exactly? If you follow what Bobby Banton has said, I mean, this just points to him as a third party. We've not seen him taking any money, unlike we saw Charles Edubwahin do, among other things. So how exactly is the vice president complicit in all of this?
Well, I think you mentioned earlier on that this is not the first time that the vice president's name is being mentioned in connection with something like that. So what I'm saying is, what Bobby Banton said about the vice president being a complainant, I think that if somebody goes about using my name to do things that I don't support or I don't know about, I have a right to go to court and ask for. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that I should be able to go to court and insist that that person either stops doing what he or she is doing or compensates me for using my name dragging my name into the mud.
Right.
So that's one thing. But if you continue to keep quiet when these things come up and just issue maybe verbal denial, it gives people the impression that maybe you are implicated in a way. I'm not saying that you are, but if you don't do anything about it, some people will be convinced that you are probably aware of what is happening. And that is the dangerous part of it, the worrying part of it.
Are you one of such people?
If it continues, I'll be tempted to think so.
You are tempted to think so?
And especially if it does not take any action. For example, now they have terminated the appointment of the Minister of State. If the Minister of State does not complain, if he accepts it without saying anything, it may mean that yes, he has actually misused the name. So that may be an exoneration of the Vice President. But if this is continued and they don't do anything about with those people who are doing that, then definitely people will conclude that maybe it's true. That's why they are keeping quiet. But for now, it's too early to conclude that. But I'm just saying that if such things continue, and you do nothing against those who are using the name for such purpose, then you are giving the impression to the public that, maybe you are aware of this.
When you speak of exonerating himself, he's already come out with a statement, so to speak, on social media, which he's put out. He stated categorically, I don't know anything about this, and my integrity is very dear to me. What else then? And I want a stretch of this because time and again we hear of such situations, but it appears even legally speaking, there's not much that can be done. Even post the presidency, we know the restrictions on tackling a former president on some of these issues. So is it high time, for example, what would you like to see by the stretch of exonerating himself? What processes? And then should we get to the point where maybe we tweak what our laws say about such instances and maybe calling such powers that be to order, ensuring that there is accountability to probe the matter? What do we do?
You see, I've said that I'm not a lawyer, but I think that it should be possible for you to go to court on this matter. That you are using my name for criminal activity. I don't know. Is it not possible for me to go to court and insist that something happens against you because you are using my name for criminal activity? And if you have that privilege and you don't take advantage of it, what impression are you creating out there? It's not enough to just come out with a statement and say, you are not aware of it. Yes, some people believe you, others may not believe you. What do you do after that? And in this case, you say, yes, the person's appointment has been terminated, which is to confirm that, yes, you are actually not aware of what's happening. That's fine. But I'm saying that if such things continue and nothing happens to the individuals involved, definitely to create an impression out there that maybe there is a basis for what the people are saying.
Hold for me briefly. I'll come right back to you. Because you make that point and because you're not a lawyer, let me bring in Bobby. On the legal spectrum, well, it appears we've lost Bobby Banton. I would have wanted to find out what on the legal spectrum can be done to clear his name, basically, as the vice president. But now we've got to the point where, indeed, this matter has been taken up and it's been forwarded to the special prosecutor. Mr. Azim, what would be your expectations as far as the special prosecutor is concerned?
No, I haven't got that question, but...
So this matter, per the notice, the release we got from the presidency, mentions that the case has been forwarded to the special prosecutor. And I'm asking, what would be your expectations? First of all, is it the right place for this to be taken to, the special prosecutor's office? And what would be your expectations in terms of this case, Charles Edubuahin?
Again, I've said I'm not a lawyer, but it will be an issue. Is it corruption or corruption related? Or is it a criminal act? If it's corruption and corruption related, it will be the Office of Special Prosecutor. But if it's any other criminal act, I think that it will be the wrong place to send it for investigation. And also, as for the expectation, it normally would depend on the government side.
Okay.
Whether it is an issue that the government has an interest in it going in a particular direction or the government is neutral. And in most cases, governments are not neutral in this case because when an individual of a political party is found guilty of corruption,
right,
the other side will jump to the conclusion that we said your party is corrupt or the government is corrupt. This confirms it. And so because of that, federal governments have always had a tendency to protect and shield their appointees when they are accused of corruption. And so that makes the work of the investigators very difficult. Because even if the government sometimes does not directly say that, look, I'm interested in this case, I expect it to go in this direction, you, the appointee, by virtue of the method by which you have been appointed, probably handpicked and offered the position, you are likely to always think, what will I do to please the government of the day? And that is the problem with the way our appointments are made to some of these autonomous or semi-autonomous institutions. All the appointing powers are vested in the president. And the president, by implication, is also influenced by his party hierarchy in this appointment. And that is a dent in our efforts at fighting corruption in this country.
Just to conclude the conversation with you before I let go of you, sir. There's also that bit about the committee tasked to look into the minorities' motion of censure against Ken Ofori-Atta. That's on the other end. That ad hoc committee was put together by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. What would be your expectations? First of all, do you agree with the Speaker when he says this matter must be exhausted in this manner when it comes to the motion of censure? And what would your expectations be?
Well, I agree with the Speaker because specific allegations have been made against the Minister of Finance that warrant, or based on which they are calling for its removal. And so it's important that he's given a chance to defend himself. Yes, we know the economic problems are there, the allegations have been made. But we are in a democracy, and it's only fair that you give him a chance to respond to those allegations or accusations. Now, with regards to the expectation from the investigation, it is a bipartisan committee. And from the fact that a majority of the NPP MPs are also calling for its removal, I would expect that the recommendation will be for its removal.
Right.
And I even think that if I were the Minister of Finance, if I were the President, I would have advised the Minister of Finance to resign, to avoid dragging his party MPs through all this mess. I mean, there's not one person. If Minister of Finance should drop dead today, doesn't mean the country will collapse. Why can't the government sacrifice just one person for the sake of this country?
Thank you, Mr. Azim, for joining the conversation. Mr. Vitus Azim is an anti-graft campaigner. He joined us for this conversation. Let's now bring in Dr. Vic Benuyena. He is Professor of Labor Market Studies and Human Resources at the University of Birmingham. And he actually is, interestingly, in the United Arab Emirates, where these tend to happen, where this entire initiative also took place. Doc, a very good morning to you. I don't know whether it's morning where you find yourself, but thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you for inviting me. It is afternoon, which is not so bad or where I am. I will start off, first of all, to clarify that, as I understand, this is not something to do with UAE government. It was an investigative journalism which was meant to uncover the extent of corruption with this particular individual minister. So I'm not necessarily trying to protect UAE government here. I do not believe that the UAE government will ever do something like that. However, what has been highlighted in this particular scenario is that our governments in Africa, particularly Ghana, are failing They are failing because the type of democracy which we are kind of practicing is not appropriate for the country's needs. I believe that the size of government is way too large, and there has to be a reason why the president continued to appoint several ministers, including this Minister of State. Why not just a few ministries in the country? But what is even more important is that had this not been uncovered, this minister would continue to be at post. And if he had continued to be at post, the tendencies of collecting bribes from different sources that you and I cannot mention right now would be enormous. And it highlights the extent of corruption among all sort of government institutions in the country. I will not suggest that NDC government ministers would have been better in dealing with these sort of issues. I will not excuse any party in Ghana, but my concern is this, that why do we wait all the while until something like this happens before we put an intervention in place?
But Doc, yes, you talk about interventions, but the point to be made is, unless you uncover some of this rot, so to speak, or unless there are other egregious accusations leveled against a Minister of State, if they are performing, you would leave them at post. In this instance, we have an issue that has come up that borders on peddling influence, among other things. Before that, there had been, calls to sack both him and the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, for other reasons, for non-performance. So I'm not too clear what you mean by some mechanisms put in place. Can you expand on that?
Well, who polices the government? Who is? I know we have the judiciary, we have the legislature, then we have the presidential organ. But the problem is who polices these people? So when I talk about intervention, there has to be an oversight committee within the Ghanaian government apparatus, or kind of outside the governing apparatus, to be able to check some of these things. We shouldn't really wait until it has occurred. I mean, is there a process to check the kind of kickbacks that have been received? Is there a process to make public the accounts of these government ministers so that we know? That is the case in some of the countries. I know Donald Trump has refused to turn in his tax returns, but that's far from the point. In Africa, we have endemic problems. And when we have serious problems, we have to tackle those serious problems with seriousness. Now, the question is, what will a reasonable person do? As far as ethics is concerned, what will a reasonable person do when they are tempted in this sort of situation? Will they say no, or will they say yes? And in this particular case, he has said yes. And how many times has he said yes in the past? And how many times have the government officials said yes to kickbacks and that sort of thing in the past? So if there is no apparatus in the system to check some of these practices, we will only have to rely on ANAS or one of those investigative journalists to uncover these things. And quick
intervention. So you talk about this other committee or body. I know you're thinking of some other establishment to deal with these matters, but we have the judiciary. In fact, when you look at the three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, they are meant to be, if you go back to the Baron de Montesquieu and the rest, they are meant to be checks on one another. That's the first point. The second point is, beyond all of these, we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and the matter has been referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Is there something else then that we should be doing? Whether maybe in investigating these matters to check on ministers, or post the fact to ensure that there is accountability?
Well, the issue is far from that. The issue is who appoints all these people. They all know each other. So you've made a point very clear, but who appoints the prosecutors? Who appoints the judiciary? Who appoints the people meant to be policing each other? That's where the corruption begins. If the relations, government's relations are being appointed to these positions, then they will never be able to put in place proper checks. So that in itself is a big problem. I know you are thinking, what else can we do to rectify this situation? And in my view, both parties, the NDC and the NPP, are equally the same in how they deal with these sort of issues within the country. So, I mean, why can't we refuse to accept a person who has been appointed based on nepotism? You know, they know someone who is a relative to somebody, or they've done business before, or because of the kind of relationship they've had in school, therefore they get appointed to positions. So I know it's a very dicey issue, but we have to start from somewhere. Now, I have to make a very important point. I'm not sure if you're still with me. Sometimes we tend to dwell too much on the problems and not focusing on the solution per se. So moving forward from this, without just stating that sometimes the media is overly interested in just discussing the problems, and moving forward is normally not addressed by the media. What else can we do to prevent some of these issues from happening? What else can we do to highlight some of the corrupt practices within the government?
Well, interesting dynamics you make mention of. There's also the issue, just to cap off the conversation, when it comes to Parliament. And another issue that has been raised on the other side has to do with Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now there seems to be some consensus that he must go, but how he goes appears to be the problem. The minority wanted to, put forward a motion of censure. The majority says that is not the way to go, but they agree that the finance minister must go. Now a committee has been set up to look into the matter in a way to give a fair hearing to Ken Ofori-Atta, who, per what most people are saying, has lost that moral credibility to be in office. What is your reaction to that?
First, I would like to state that I'm not an expert in politics, neither I'm not an expert in kind of some of the things that are taking place in Ghana. However, I have asked the question before, what will a reasonable person do when they are faced with certain situations, particularly if they are holding a public office? Now, in terms of competence of Ofori-Atta, I have very minimal information on that. However, with the issues in Ghana, with the economic crisis in Ghana, anyone who is unable to deal with those issues heads on doesn't deserve to be in that position. Now, I teach business, broadly speaking. Now, I train students to be ethical in how they do things after graduation. I will not give a job to someone who demonstrates incompetence. So why should we give a job to someone who oversees the overall country's economic position? Why should we continue to give them the position when they are underperforming? It's a critical question that everyone has to grapple with. If he is not performing well, why is he holding the country to not ransom, but why is he not letting someone else get into the job and do it much better than he is doing? I have listened to the gentleman a few times, and my perception of him is he might be very, very intelligent, but being intelligent doesn't mean you are capable of handling a position that he's currently occupying. And I think it's about time that serious problems are dealt with the kind of seriousness that it deserves, without political leaders trying to defend each other by trying to tell the public that, oh, well, the individual is great, and using qualitative words to describe the abilities of those individuals. We need to see what they are capable of doing in terms of physical numbers. We need to see the translation of that, ability in terms of the lives of individuals, the poor people in Ghana, on the streets of Accra and other parts of Ghana. They need to feel that there is an economic solution to their problem. They shouldn't be told by leaders of the country that it's okay, everything is okay. Words don't mean anything when there is an economic crisis.
All right. Doc, we're grateful for your time. Dr. Vic Benuyena joined the conversation. He is Professor of Labor Market Studies and Human Resources at the University of Birmingham. Earlier, we had Vitus Azim, an anti-graft campaigner, and Bobby Banson, a lawyer. But today, on Citizen's Microphone, we take you to Red Top. It's a suburb of Kaswa where residents want their bad roads fixed. They say it's become too expensive to live there because they always have to spend a lot to fix their cars. We'll be hearing from the residents and also engage the Member of Parliament for the area, Sylvester Tete. My colleague, Bernice Abubeidu Lanza, is standing by on that. Bernice, what do you have to share with us on this situation from where you are?
Find out from residents how the terrible roads here are affecting them. Over the weekend, there were heavy rains, and we saw, as usual, a lot of floodwaters and silt deposited on the main highway coming from the West Hills Mall towards McCarthy Hill. But the big question is, where does all the silt come from, and what impact is being visited on the area that this silt is coming from? And that's why this morning we are here. Come all the way from the top, Red Top is called, down towards Botiano. And I'm here to speak to some of the residents here who are really upset about the nature of the roads. I have Emmanuel here with me. Emmanuel, let's say.
Sister.
Na yeah, banumi who sa wakano ediechi. Equino is saying that ete from beginning and now say a ne cause equino, you know, to be this way. Now, how is it affecting you?
Sister, equino nenti say. Once area no ever need develop more nurse than you need go to ha. That's the main problem. You need go to. In so to untimi nko ofie. Even so wo shapa ka ye de bakura edin so obetimi di aba. Nti yesro na akufado. Yesre no. Na na ninhwe ye. No mo ye kakra. Nti na akufado do ye niam o ye bi pa. Ne mo ye ha de yesre no. Eye akwasa eye Botiano English amam from akwasa area ye ne to abama MPP pa nti ese no ye road no ehia ye me ameka se me delegate ama eye din e ma ye nti ese na nado se omo ye na ye kwan no ontimi ye bibi kakra ye de ma ye.
So Emmanuel says he's lived here for quite some time. He tells me the road has not always been this bad. He believes that the terrible nature of the road is as a result of the lack of gutters in the area. When it rains, they're unable to go to their homes. He's pleading with the president. He says that they really vote for the NPP here and they would want the president to do something about the bad roads for them. Intinu sisiano osi insuto amuntimi nkomufie inti insuto amoyeden.
Sister, so ukutaka ni nsu ato na ya this opakeka ni si baby na ja onante na okofia koda because untimi emfaka nan ekwan nye asai amna even one hwe ekura na nsu to a nyame ahwe amfafie betima kumobi because enkola wa ha na se akola wo fi school ba na nsu to a akola de betima wu gota no hwa ekofom pa nti ese no onye bibi mayen
na edian na wo se wo say wo ye delegate MPs were ho MP there onumpo nya ono no twakwan more local government reps were ha MCE ni DCE there no more catch mo afa ekwan na omunya ni ye no ho
sister de oka na ewom sade na so ni nyina ne say be president because ye hu wo mo a omo so omo guso omo ye bibi na so ye wo ha de ye nhye dan hu nti de esre se omo be ye bibi a na ye be hu so ye bibi ye hu se wo bia ye de ye nim fanisem nye delegate minim enhyehyɛ a ekoso ho ebe de mahu nti yesre no on de animanimu ye o ma no ho nye ha na onye bibi maye ye de yesre no anu no so o ma no ho nye ha na onye bibi maye.
So Emmanuel says that when it rains, sometimes they have to park their vehicles. He's worried because there are children around who could drown as a result of the floods. He's saying that he admits that they have an MCE and a DCE, a local government authority responsible for development in the area. But he's appealing directly to the president for something to be done about the bad nature of the road. And look, I've been driving on this road all the way from the West Hills Mall upwards to Red Top and coming down. And I must confess, the roads are really terrible here. It would take you about 10 minutes to do a trip that you could do in about 3 minutes. Well, you've just heard from Emmanuel. There are a couple other residents here who are gathered here looking at what is happening. They're all concerned about the roads. Would you want to talk to me, sir? Right. Okay. What's your name?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
What do you think about the nature of the roads here and what are your concerns?
Ekwan de enye kura. Se ka say ha yen kran kura won jini. Because en kran ye kwan to say de enye. Ye say na say na chika ye no. Aha na ye nyina ye wo. Ona bo ye ne wa ha ye say kwan ya anya de a anhwe kura ba ye nto. Ye decide say ya anya kwan na ye nto aba. Because ye nto aba na ye ma ko school mu mewu. Ye ma ko nsu oto na efa ye ma bi mu. Ye ni obi a ye ka kire no. Nti de nyame say wa bebisa ye. Wa bisa ye ndie. Na hu say ye ni abre pa because kwan na nye. Akura ko school na nsu oto agota ebefa no. Nti me ba wu ameto aba. Nti say ya anya kwan na afi no vote.
Right. So this is Patrick. Patrick is delighted that we are here today to highlight their plight. But he is also saying that if the president doesn't fix the road, they will not vote in the next elections. He says that he's concerned about the safety of children, and so he wants the president to do something about it. Patrick, mami bisa question last one. Intino, it's affecting more economy, like more juma, more tibiano generally. No, is he affecting more?
Sometimes ya free more na ya ba adwuma wo bot ya no kokoro bi tin kwa de se wan kofa barrier untimi nkwa adwuma nso to kase ya eto da bi kwa nyaka na enko wuni pa kwa untimi nante enko enti ya adwuma se mu nyina mu de kwa na ha adwen ebi wo ha wo ba higher site ntu be fa ka na de fa cement na de kwa site ka no fa na ebedu untimi nko at the end of the day no se wo kwaye mortar concrete me ade wo mo a unya adwuma bia na se day no kwa no nti we daily blood above.
Right. So I missed something he said in the early part. He said if you were told that this is part of Accra, you won't believe it because the roads are terrible. But I was just finding out from him how their daily bread, their economy is affected as a result of the roads. He says that sometimes it's extremely difficult if you have to come from the West Hills Mall down towards Botiano when it rains, unless you use the barrier route. And he says that sometimes you don't end up doing any work if you're doing by day, what we call by day, those who assist in construction and all that. And at the end of the day, your daily bread is lost. Thankfully, I have the MP for the area here with me, Sly Tete, MP for Botiano English, Amman from. You've heard your people. They are concerned about the nature of the road. Whenever it rains, and we've been doing this story for almost 5 years running on the impact of the rains on the main road down there, we are told all the sand comes from here, and so the erosion, it's not surprising what we see here, the deep gullies and all. I know you're not responsible for roads. That is not your main mandate as an MP, but tell us what you know about the progress in trying to work on the roads here.
Well, thank you very much. And let me say a very big thank you to JoyNews and for multimedia for having joined hands with me to ensure that we bring government attention to the challenges of roads in this constituency. I'm grateful to Omanhene Dominic Isiyebwa lives here. And for that matter, Friday, if you had followed me, Friday, the whole ecosystem program was dedicated to roads in Botiano English Amman from. My people who follows me knows that consistently I've been in the media space and even in Parliament advocating for the concerns of this area to be heard by central government. And indeed, the road minister 3 months ago was here. He came here to spend 1 hour with us. He ended up spending 4.5 hours to assess the nature of roads here. My job as an MP, first of all, I don't have capacity to construct roads, but I have every capacity to lobby and advocate for government attention to be brought on the roads here. And that I've been doing fairly. That is why I don't shy away from letting people know the state of our roads. And government has heard it in good faith. As I speak to you, the youth here can also become like other youth elsewhere who will be vandalizing, demonstrating and all that. But they haven't done that. It tells you the calm and the peaceful nature of the residents here. In fact, to say the roads are bad is an understatement. I mean, it's not, you can't call it a road. When the minister came here with his V8, including myself, at a point we got stuck. And the minister had to come out from the vehicle for the vehicle to be able to access the road. Look, it's terrible. And I think that so far, a fair assessment has been done on this road. Currently, about 40 kilometers of road have been earmarked for award of a contract. And from where you came from West Hills Mall, I'm happy to announce that 2.5 kilometers has been signed to the Chinese company that has a Sunda factory. Their subsidiary construction company has been awarded 2.5 kilometers of road to begin. In fact, They promised to have started last month. I don't know. I called them yesterday. I'll be following up a progress of work with respect to that portion. Yes, they delayed because...
Has money been dispersed to them yet?
Well, the difficulty we have, a number of roads have been awarded to contract. Yesterday I spoke to one contractor that I'm writing to the ministry to terminate the contract. Every contractor cries of no money. But the sad thing is that you give a contractor a job. The person comes to the site and do maybe 5% drains, and then begin to raise a certificate for government to give him money to come and continue. Such people would not be qualified as contractors. As a contractor, when you are on site, you should do a substantial work for people to know you are working for. Then we can all plead with government to give you. Government every day keep paying contractors, but of course, we still owe contractors. That is a fact. Our economic situation, we all know. So when you are in the middle of it, you can understand why some of these things delays. But of course, whilst it's ongoing elsewhere, and the contractors we are speaking to, and this road, the nature of road is not any contractor that can work on this road. You need some experienced contractor to be able to work on this road. Otherwise, whatever you do will just be eroded away by the rain because of the heavy rain that is coming. So it's terrible. We reckon that the roads here is terrible. The minister had visited, the minister had charged the engineers, and they've done a fair assessment. About 40 kilometers of roads have been identified that they are critical road to enhance livelihood in this place. So they should be worked on immediately. And that one, we are going through the procurement processes to ensure that we have a contractor well experienced who has capacity to be able to do. Those contractors who come, 5% they raise certificate, they want government to pay. Until government pay, they don't come to the road. By the time they come, what they've done has been destroyed. Those contractors have resisted the temptation of bringing such contractors here because we have about 5 different roads that have been awarded to contractors. Look, when you go to Chokome from Botiano, you go to Chokome, from Chokome Junction to Chokome, it's less than a kilometer of road. It's been awarded to a contractor for 4 years. He did the drains and he abandoned it. If you go to Finlay Hospital, when I was coming, I was on the phone with a resident who has a pharmaceutical shop over there. They've destroyed the drain in front of the man, and the man has been denying his livelihood for the past 1 year. And these are unacceptable conduct that we cannot take.
But for 4 years, why have we sat on for 4 solid years for this to linger?
I've been an MP for 2 years. If you had followed my media advocacy about the nature of roads here, I will consistently look in the last 4 years. Before the Samuajan Road, it's been worse than this. Through MPP, it's been constructed, it's been tarred. Those in this area can attest to that. Some road works has been done. When you go to Amman from New Botiano, roads there have been tarred and asphalted. So it doesn't mean government has not done anything.
Right.
But this particular portion has been waiting, and I believe that government has given it the necessary attention. We want the minister to expedite action to ensure that this road is done on time. That is all we are asking for. Right. And I trust that Nanado will support us to get it done.
So, Mr. Tete, you spoke about the Chinese company down there that has been awarded a contract to construct about 2.5 kilometers, you've seen. The residents who are concerned that the trucks used by some of these companies, and I saw quite a number of them driving up here, also contribute to the terrible nature of the road. In fact, right from the West Hills Mall up to that Chinese company, you can see that that road was constructed to a certain point, but the road has deteriorated, has washed away. What would you say to residents who say, how about levying these companies that use big trucks and maybe trying to pull support from some residents who can afford it, so that, you know, yes, we are all expecting government to do something, but can we look at alternatives?
My dear sister, the nature of roads here and the amount of money required to fix it, the resident coming together, they can't do it.
No, I'm not saying they should do it entirely, but together with the companies, because some of your residents are concerned that the heavy trucks are contributing to the bad roads.
The intervention of residents or the companies, if it's not properly done, obviously the trucks will still use it. That whole area, there's a huge 1D1F Sunda factory and manufacturing company there. So definitely you expect trucks to come in there. So what we are doing now, from the West Hills Mall to the Chinese factory, we are doing a concrete-based road so that the trucks don't go beyond that place, so that the resident can use it, the trucks can also access the company and do their business so that it doesn't affect anybody. So that's the discussion we've had so far. Look, there are places that we have personally intervened to be able to give the resident respite. If you go to Amman from area, in Sionano and the rest, I'll put about 50 trips of nitrite personally from my pocket to be able to grade it and give them rest. But this nature of roads, you can't do that kind of intervention here. So if you look at the nature of roads here, resident or company, don't forget, social corporate responsibility is not enforceable in our jurisdiction. So that makes it a difficulty, because that 2.5 kilometers of road will cost more than 20 million cedis. So if you ask a company to dole out a 20 million cedi, then of course the company will be looking at its shareholders whether or not they will be able to dole out 20 million cedis. So these are things that the company I know has made intervention in the community in many, many areas. Clearly, I think it may not be enough as far as the road is concerned. So government had accepted the challenge that let's come in and help. It's our responsibility even to construct the road to ease business in that area. So when the person is suffering, you're asking the person to also do the road. The person will look at his balances and all that. Until corporate social responsibility becomes enforceable, no one can hold a company responsible that the road is not done. We've had conversations with them, and of course we believe that they will be able, government will be able to do. From Botiano here all the way to West Hillsmore is a total of 6.2 kilometers. Now 2.5 kilometers has been awarded. This portion, about 3.8 kilometers, is yet to be awarded, and we are pretty much sure that soon it will be done for people to have respite.
So on the main road, the sand or the silt that comes from here washes onto the road, and you were telling me earlier that there was one occasion you had to use how many trucks to desilt?
Yes, to desilt the road, the last time we did, 96, highway did it. And we're counting 96 strips of 20 cubic trucks that were cut from the road. When you go to Adansimine, that is where most of the silt that you see come into the main road. And then you go to the mountain where around Asamoajan area to the Tobut area, it also comes to the road. So until we fix the drains here and get the proper drain, and then rehabilitate some vegetation that have been destroyed as a result of human activity, we will continue to have this problem. So I've described this as a national security threat that we need, because assuming there's an emergency on the highway and people have to stay there for 7 hours, it is nothing but a national security threat.
There are those who are also concerned, besides the road, about the buildings on waterways and ridges and areas that should not have. So you talk about the vegetation covers being removed. So the Wager-rich area where we are told people are not supposed to be building, there are concerns that this is all contributing to the problem. So what is being done in that regard as well?
There are specific state institutions to be responsible for this. I don't usually like to answer questions for institutions who are not responsible.
I'm just asking if you are in the know of what is being done.
Places I've made statement. I've called attention of responsible ministries, departments and agencies on many, many occasions. But we lack the courage to pull down houses. And they know, they've identified homes that need to be pulled down to pave way for water to pass through. The residents suffer. When you go to Sampaman, when they spill the water, we went in there to support the residents. You get in there, you realize that somebody's house is actually in the waterway. And there's a huge reserve meant for the dam, so that when it's spilled, it holds the water until a set time that it subsides. But go there, they've built houses on those vegetation. So when they open the dam, obviously you will be the casualty in this instance. So we are having community engagement. The municipal chief executive was with me the last time we went. And let me remind people, when they keep referring to the municipal chief executive, obviously this nature of road, the assembly cannot do it. Never. The assembly don't have capacity to do this kind of road. You can only get attention of central government to be able to do it. And I'm happy that the minister was here. He's seen it. When you mention this place, he knows what they said. They've gone very far. I'm in touch with the chief director, and pretty soon the contractor will be coming to do the 3.9 kilometers to make up for the total 6.5 kilometers.
Now, let me move away a bit from the specifics. I mean, in talking about Botiano and its environs, development analysts have suggested that in communities such as this that develop over time, it is more prudent to build the roads as the communities develop than wait for the community to, grow as large as this before we start thinking of building the roads. Then it becomes more expensive. You need a huge sum of money. So for you, in terms of Ghana's development agenda, because this is not the only community that has terrible roads like this. Go to many communities that are springing up. It's the same story. What is your thinking about this?
We develop before we plan. In our jurisdiction, we develop before we plan. We don't plan before we develop. That's a simple answer I can give you. Look, land tenure system. Land is in the hands of individuals, families, and the rest. Here, government may, a lot of houses are here that they don't even have permits. They finish building before they come to the municipal assembly to regularize their permits for them. And that becomes a source of revenue for the assembly. So they usually don't go to the source and deny them and pull down. So the problem is that we are always developing before we plan. So whatever we do most often is to regularize the illegality that has been perpetuated on us. So it is true, we haven't had that opportunity. So if you go to communities that are planned before, you won't have these problems. But individuals can sell their land. As we speak, people are negotiating buying land all over. So
that means that the problem will persist. So once we solve the Botiano problem, then we have to go to another place.
It is all over the country. So that is why I've always made a suggestion that we need to properly document land in this country. If you are selling land, you cannot go and build without a permit from the municipal assembly. So they will look at the development plan. Look, do you know what we call classification? What's supposed to happen here and there? You go to an industrial area, that has been a place that is earmarked for industrial light. Then people, residential houses, you go to residential areas, they are putting light industrial buildings there. Because they don't go to the assemblies, they don't go to the planners before they go, they don't know how the whole area.
And the assemblies are also inspecting and doing their rounds and checks.
You may not know. There are many houses there, the assemblies, if you go there, they don't have an idea. But thankfully, we brought something where we are doing house digital address for each and every house. I think that we should go to the extent of even lands to be able to know parcels of land that are available for building. Now every single house is identified. The assembly should have a database to ensure that this house that has been digitally given an address, whether this particular house has the proper documentation from the assembly. But I doubt, even if they don't have, whether the assemblies will have capacity and the willpower to be able to pull down houses to serve as a deterrent to people. Of course, we know our economic situation. Going to pull down somebody's house comes with a huge burden. The challenge is that I'm the one.
So in this country, it's sympathy over doing what is right. Is that it?
Most often.
But should that be the case?
It shouldn't be the case. Today, I know people when they have an issue, because they vote for you, go to seek the vote. I tell you, as I stand here, all of them, they identify me because they voted for me. I went to them to beg for vote. Assuming any of them has his building earmarked to be pulled down, I'll be the first person they will call. Then the sympathy start, or they will call a pastor, they will call a relation of the municipal chief executive. So these are the challenges that we are facing, and it's not peculiar to this place. It's a nationwide problem.
Finally, Mr. Tete, you've spoken about the 2.5-kilometer stretch that has been awarded from the West Hills Mall, and then you talk about the visit by the minister and the assurances that this is on the radar of the ministry and it will be worked on. Are there any timelines?
Well, for timelines, yes, when we came, the minister, before he came here, announced on the Asempa FM that within a month. When he came here and assessed the situation, he realized that it's more difficult than perhaps he thought. So they had to redesign the place and all that. So for timelines, it also depends on the kind of contractor willing and available to invest his money. But it's a GOG project. As and when we rake in revenue, we pay them. So it's not any contractor at all you can bring here. Otherwise, many people will be willing to do it, but they may not even have the capacity to start in the first.
Considering the economic situation we are in, which you've referenced quite a number of times in your submission, what is your estimation of when work will start on this?
Well, I wouldn't want to be speaking for the ministry, but I'll keep pushing.
Thank you so much. Sly Tete is MP for the Botiano English Amanfro constituency, and we've been talking to him about the bad nature of roads here. His constituents are all gathered here, trying to interact with him. Even as he leaves, they are concerned about the nature of the road. Some of them have been talking to us, and they say that the bad roads are affecting their livelihoods, their children. Would you want to talk? Right, opesa okasa ye fra o sen.
Fra mo ochire.
Ochire. E den know how?
Me a taxi driver.
Okay.
Me ye adwuma wa haya na me lodu fi beri aba ha. In fact, kwan ne de. So de amungusu black man kwan na nke kwan na se na mo fa bulldozer no me dey. Me yusu me na ke kwan ne ndemu mayen. Na ke ho ntoye no ne hia na se obegina kasa bebre na kwan 2.5 kilometers na no so me ye mayen. I say me spare pass. Untumi nto. Spare pass motor phone you know obi an spare pass untumi nto. To me hwe no me on gwi kwan no o de onyi kwan no ongu black on the on bedwiri so na kwan mu nda ho na ka ho ye dey.
O say your friend saying Ochre. Okay, so Ochre is saying that enough of the talk, whether 2.5 kilometers, he's not concerned about that. He's a taxi driver, and he says that at least all he wants is for the road to be leveled, at least to make it motorable, even if they will not start the project soon, or put asphalt on the road or whatever they decide to do with it. He is concerned about the terrible nature, and he wants it leveled at least. So this morning I've been coming to you from the Englishy Amanfrom constituency, and we've been talking about the bad nature of roads here. Residents want it fixed. No timelines yet, but we are told that government is working to fix the roads. Back to you, Benjamin.
Thank you for passing on the baton back to me in the studio. Bernice Abubedu Lanza out there from Red Top, and deplorable, really, the state of their roads. But from there, we're going to be taking a break. When we return, we'll tell you about Alumni by Enterprise Life. We want to know what that is all about. We'll be giving you details. And then after that, we'd go back to Weja, Tetegu, and look at the situation after the spillage of the Weja Dam and people's return to that community. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba will be on that beat. All of that after the break. Do stay.
Welcome back to the AM show. Now, after many years of silence of what is described as the biggest school event in Ghana, Schools Reunion is back with a bang. Now, the event, which has served as a networking platform, bringing together alumni of various schools to relive memories of their school days, is going to be bigger and better. And from our older brother, Joy FM, we have handed the baton to Hits FM, and we're going to discuss a schools reunion with one of our special sponsors, Enterprise Life. They have some really exciting packages for us, and joining me in studio is Nana Akwesi Ojo, who is the head of special markets at Enterprise Life. I did it, right? You did it. I did it. So how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
And we also have Raymond Joseph Nana Kwanzaa, who's the regional sales manager of Enterprise Life. Gentlemen, you all right?
Yes, you're right.
Thank you so much for your time. Now,
you're welcome.
Let's talk about the Alumni by Enterprise Life. What is that?
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to you, your cherished viewers. When we talk about Alumni by Enterprise Life, it's a unique solution that was created mainly for all student associations.
Sure.
And the essence of creating the solution was actually to bring relief to these organizations and to these associations. Before we created the solution, we did a deep staker research that informed us that most alumni associations tended to contribute, do several collections when somebody is bereaved or suffers a loss. So depending on who you are in the group, you may get more, you may get less. So we created an alumni solution basically to standardize and bring about uniformity. Also to enforce camaraderie among unions, and finally to bring about pay enough value, sum assured, that members can adequately cater for the perils they suffer. So basically that is why we created. So it's a simple solution that is geared towards correcting some of the financial gaps that arise from most of the associations when the members suffer a peril.
So let's talk about this solution and what exactly is offered.
Okay, so the research also informed that most associations supported members when they lose a loved one, when a member suffers any form of sicknesses or diseases, and then when a member is bereaved. I've already said that, and then when a member passes on, also we also support. So the policy directly supports three key things. Death for the member, funeral support for key members of the member's relation, so the spouse and two dependents of the member's choice. It also covers members on critical illnesses, and then also supports total permanent disability. So if a member suffers a critical illness named under the policy, we come in to support, pay a pre-agreed sum assured based on the package the group selected.
So it's death, critical illness and
total permanent disability.
And permanent disability.
Total.
Okay, total. Okay. So now we're talking about the Hits FM Schools reunion. You know, alumni by Enterprise Life. Obviously, this is for old school, old students. So, what inspired you to to be part of Hits FM's school reunion?
As we work in a society and we work with people.
Yeah.
And since we are part of society, we give back to the society some of what we take from society. So as part of our corporate social responsibility, we give back, and this is part of the things we do to actually be part of our target group. And the other thing is the policy, the alumni policy is actually designed for such a group. So once the group is having a program, then of course it makes a lot of sense for us to be part, support them, and also introduce the package we have actually designed particularly for them. Yes.
Okay, so when you say the Old Students Association, who exactly are they? Like, who qualifies to be your customer?
Any old student group.
Okay.
Any old student group. We have from I think in my case we have from the primary up to the secondary to the university level. So any old student group is qualified.
Which old student group do you belong to?
Okay, I'm part of Bleo Group. I'm part of Old Vandals Association and the basic school level too.
So the Kaneshi markets, no? You're part of those boys.
Yeah,
okay. And which Old Students Association do you belong to?
St. Augustine's College.
Oh, fantastic.
And also I'm a custodian as well.
Oh, solid people. Okay, now I know that you guys were running a special which was like 40 CDs for one of your packages, but let's tell us about these ones, like the cover options that you have.
Okay, so there are 4 main options that a group can choose from based on their financial or economic situation. We have the bronze, which is the minimum, and then with bronze you pay a minimum of 10 cedis a month.
Okay, 10
which
cedis
culminates to 120 cedis a year.
Okay.
You have the silver package, which is 240 Ghana cedis a year, which is 20 cedis a month. We have the gold package, which is 360 cedis a year. Basically 30 cedis a month.
Okay.
And then the ultimate from now is the platinum.
Okay.
And with that you pay for 80 Ghana cedis a year.
Okay.
Which covers you, your spouse, 2 adult dependents on the packages we spoke about.
So the bronze, silver, and gold, they also cover you?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay. So now, what happens if I start today, so I register with you guys, and then 3 months down the line, as the main member, I pass away? Well, I get, let's say I took the bronze one, will I get my 20,000?
Okay, so thank you very much. So if you sign up for the policy, you don't need to wait for 3 months. If anybody passes a day after sign up for the policy, we pay. Cover is immediate. There's no waiting period on this policy.
Okay.
So once you sign up, cover is immediate. Anything that happens, touch wood, the same day after payment. Once you receive payment, policy has started. And so anything happens after that, Enterprise Life will come in to pay the pre-agreed benefit based on the package you selected. Now, the 20,000 you see on the bronze is the total sum assured for the covered lives.
Sure.
So the covered lives here includes the main life, the spouse, and the 2 adult dependents. So the total sum assured for the 4
is 20,000,
including the critical illness and disability, is the 20,000 for the bronze.
So that means 5,000 each for each person.
So 5,000 for the main life, 5,000 for the spouse. There is 2,005 for the 2 dependents each. So that is 5,000 altogether. There's another 2,500 for critical illness for the member, and another 2,500 for total permanent disability for the member.
So that means the member gets...
The member and the spouse are on the same sum assured.
Okay.
The same benefit.
My maths is not very good. Okay, so the member gets 5,000 plus 2,500, so 10,000.
So the total for the member alone is 10,000 on the bronze.
On the bronze, yeah. And it's the same way with the gold, the silver, and the platinum. Is that how you divide it?
Yes, so with the silver, the total package is 40,000.
Sure.
The member is on 10,000 in the event of death.
10,000 event
And then there is 5,000 for critical illness, and then 5,000 for total permanent disability. So the total sum assured for the member only on the silver is 20,000.
Yeah.
And the remaining 20,000 is what is divided for the other members of the group.
Okay.
So in every instance, on all the packages, the member and spouse are on the same debt cover.
Ah, I see.
So the member is on 10,000 on the silver,
Yeah.
the spouse is on 10,000.
Yeah.
So upon the demise of the spouse, Enterprise Life will pay through the association to the member 10,000 cedis. If you go to the platinum, which is the ultimate, in the event of death of the member, we will pay 20,000 cedis to the family of the member.
Sure.
In the event of the death of the spouse, we will pay 20,000 to the association to the member.
Yeah, okay.
And in the event of death of the dependents, we pay 10,000 cedis each. If the member suffers a named critical illness, we will pay 10,000 cedis.
Yeah.
If the member is diagnosed with diagnosed to be permanently disabled, totally permanently disabled, and cannot continue to work, we will pay another 10,000. So that is the way the breakdown is.
All right. So I want to go back to the benefits once again. So we know that upon the demise of a member of the association, a pre-agreed amount is paid, right? So that's the first one. The second one is the critical illness, right?
Yes.
And then the third one is the funeral benefits pays.
So we can put the funeral and death maybe in the
Together.
same
Okay,
basket,
sharp.
but there's a total permanent disability,
Yeah.
which is also reserved for the member only.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to the Hit FM Schools reunion. Yeah. Will you guys be on the ground if people want to, you know, register with you guys? How do we register as our old students association? How can we register?
Of course, we are going to be on the ground. We are going to have our tents around. We are going to have our sales team. In fact, the whole sales force is going to be there because we are also part of one or two old students associations. So we are actually part of the event itself, you know. So we'll be there with our team to partake, and we'll be part of all the programs, any other activity that will go on at the place.
All right. So let's.
But to sign up, you must belong to a group. This is a group scheme.
Yeah.
So this is that's the most important thing.
Yes.
To sign up, you have to belong to a group.
An alumni group.
Okay.
And so at the events, we will interact with alumni groups, and then we will try to bring them the enterprise advantage by getting them to sign on for this unique policy that will bring them advantage. That is the enterprise advantage. That is our unique value proposition. We bring advantage to everybody that comes into contact with us. We give them their desired advantage.
Okay. So what happens to people like my producer Echo, who's, you know, he doesn't belong to a old students association? Do you guys have any other products for people like that? Can
yes, of course. Apart from the alumni product, we have individual products that individual can choose to buy. You can be part of the alumni product and still buy your individual product. So we have a product like Family Income Security Plan. We call it FISP. You know, that product is designed to provide replacement income in the event of critical illness, total permanent disability, or death of the policyholder. You know, it secures the income that you put on the table so that in case you are not capable to provide that income, either because of death, total permanent disability, or critical illness, then the policy can provide that income that you give to your family. Yes, we have other one we call Bloom. The Bloom is only female related policy.
Sure, tell me about that.
It's a term policy that is designed to cover female related illnesses.
Okay.
It also covers total permanent disability.
So female-related illnesses, we'll talk about breast cancer, maybe?
Okay, so we talk about osteoporosis, we talk about arthritis, we talk about PCOS, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yes, then we also talk about fibrous surgery.
Sure.
So these are the ones. Then it also has other benefits like maternity complications. So then we are talking about the ectopic pregnancy and other. Yes, so that is when the cancer part then falls in the critical illness because it covers also critical illness.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So from what age can I, register for this?
Of course, from 18 to age 54.
18 to age 54.
Yeah, between 18 and 54.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. Any closing comments? I mean, Enterprise Life, what do you guys have to say to us and people who will be coming to the Hits FM's schools reunion? What would you like to say to them?
All right, so Enterprise Life, we are the best life insurance company in Ghana. In fact, the biggest.
Yeah.
Yes, and we our products are tailor-made to suit every individual need.
Yeah.
So it's not like a wholesale kind of product. Yeah, so people should expect us, the various alumni groups, especially their heads, the admins, should expect us to be part, and we'll have interaction with them.
So you mentioned that individual solutions for like personalized solutions. So I can come to you as a single lady. I don't have any dependents. Like, I'm not paying anyone's school fees. I don't have any kids. I don't have a spouse. So I'll say that my mom can like take the money if I pass away or whatever, or my sister can take the money. Yeah. So you can personalize my own package.
Of course. So the other thing is, you may not have kids, you may not have nuclear responsibility, but you have extended responsibility. Your mom is your responsibility, your father is your responsibility. You may have other family members who you have certain responsibility in.
Yeah.
So all those people, we have a policy we call Funeral Finance Unlimited, that you can actually insure those people. In the event of death, the policy will provide you money to be able to give them a befitting burial.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. All right. Nana, can you please share your last thoughts very quickly, and also your contact details if someone is watching and they would like to inquire about it today?
Thank you very much. So, like Raymond rightly said, we are the leading specialist life insurance company in the country, and we've achieved this feat by putting the customer first.
Yeah.
So we are a customer-centric organization. We don't talk about products, we sell solutions.
We sell solutions.
Because before we come to the market, we engage at the intended target market audience, and then get to find their problems. And together we co-create a solution that will be relevant to them.
Yeah.
So we always say we provide solutions. And so and because we're customer-centric, we try to pay claims, because the end game of insurance is claims payment.
Sure.
And this year alone, we've paid claims in excess of 305 million Ghana cedis.
I see.
On the alumni policy alone, we already done over 1.2 million in by way of claims.
I see.
And we do all these things within about 3 days.
Okay.
An average of 3 days.
Okay.
Some get their claims as early as within 24 hours.
Sure.
I've paid claims to alumni groups that they call me to tell them that this is too much. They didn't believe that we could do this within maybe 48 hours or 24. And so as a business, we've prioritized our customers, and we believe that that is what has brought us this far.
Okay.
Not forgetting the grace of God as well, because a business that believes in God. The God factor is key for us as well.
The God factor is very key. Can you share your contact?
My phone number to reach us on will be 0244 709 747.
Okay. Can you repeat it?
0244 709 747. And the name is Nana. Okay. I'm going to share another one for Daniel after Raymond. So you can also.
Okay, so my number is 0242 621568.
All right, again?
0242 621568.
Okay.
Raymond.
Okay, and then Daniel?
Daniel is 0246 373653. 0246 373653.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We can't wait to see you at the school's reunion on the 26th of November. It's going to be very exciting, and
of course, we are going to be there in our numbers.
Yeah. As for the Kaneshi market, that's all you know. Nice things. But my guest for this conversation, Nana Kwesi Ojo Akoko, who's the head of Special Markets Enterprise, and I also had Raymond Joseph Nanakwansa, who is the regional sales manager of Enterprise. Well, let's go back to Weija Tetegu. I'm sure you remember how the spillage of the Weija Dam led to the flood in the area. Well, the residents have been back there for a while and are seeking to rebuild their lives. Maxwell Agwaba has been there, and his report is next.
The Weija municipality is beautiful with stunning views, especially from its numerous hills. But all of that changed when the spillage of excess water from the Weija Dam started forcing residents out of their homes. Communities such as White Cross, Tetegu, and others changed into a river with no dry land. The only way to access the communities was with a boat. So 1 month ago, I was here at the Agbawi municipality where hundreds of people were marooned on rooftops after the spillage of excess water from the Agbawi Dam. I was here together with personnel from the 48th Engineer Regiment who were on a rescue mission. They were on a rescue mission to save many lives, and we joined them on that journey. It is exciting to see that life has bounced back to this community with the residents going about their normal activities.
Water level reaching their knee. I've never seen anything like this in my whole life. This is the first time I'm seeing something like this. There's a woman here who is on this boat here with me. Let's interact with her. Let's find out from her. Hello. She doesn't want to talk to me.
I'm at the residence of 55-year-old Adikwashi, the only person known to have died in the devastating floods. Adi was trapped in his room after the flood rose to dangerous levels. His body was found lying close to his bed after the flood subsided.
I think that was last week. Last week I saw him. That was my last time of
Ajo's uncle is Adikwashi, and she's here with her family mourning the man who catered for her when she was young.
I mean, it's too much, and I don't know how to swim, so I left here early. So I was there yesterday when I had a call. They found him dead in the room.
I'm now at the residence of 92-year-old Grace Obiya. She lost everything to the flood here in this Weja community. And she was one of the people who was trapped here in this community. What you can see behind me are some of the things that got destroyed, some personal possessions that got destroyed after that flood. You can see books here, still here, 1 month later, still here. She's been telling me about how she lost all her pictures, some dating back to about 60 years when she was young and very active.
92-year-old Grace Obiya is seated in a wheelchair outside her home. Tears well up in her eyes as she narrates to me how she lost everything. She was at home when the flood water started rising to dangerous levels, but for the timely intervention of her grandchildren, she would have died. She told me, quote, I was in the room. I am bedridden, so I couldn't get up. I heard loud screams from outside that is fast approaching. I asked what they were talking about. I had sent my grandchild to buy bread for me for some tea. She came back to the house to tell me our community was getting flooded. She said, she continued to say, the water forcefully opened my gate. I was here and I could see my house getting flooded.
The PMB see and about face or pin or his in Swanee Barnas Emma. Then soon a peer get triple by Pim Namitiha. A fin soon a papa, a hilly meko. Inti Satamaneka, for no one way to send Nipan, as a send Nipan, and the better.
I was rescued by a team. They carried me. I felt pains in my joints. They carried me and waded through the water to the side of the road. All of us couldn't come back home for days. I was taken to the residence of one of my children at Kaswa.
Benjamin Akakpo, nti akwada yi won hwe efre won nti won be hia ye won ka kwa no Nchete woni bia ntimi maha. Ebi ademe ko kaso. Me baba ko binche wo.
I lost everything, my passport and pictures and everything, she said as tears started to well up in her eyes.
And our pictures. I'm here now to meet Anthony Akpakli. He does not live here. His sister actually lives here in this building, but he had to come here as a result of the floods here last month. And he talks about how the furniture and everything in this house, got damaged by the flood. I can still see the flood marking here so high at the waist level. Let's speak to Anthony Akpakli. Let's find out from him how they are coping now, 1 month after the flood.
So everything got flooded in the store. They have to restock again. More than 10,000, because listen, we went, I bought stuff, just the electrical wiring and these things, about 4,500 thereabout, because they gave an estimate of 2,000 when I came back. The next day we went to the market, the price shot up to 4,500, right? That doesn't, workmanship is not excluding workmanship. They restock it all. We have to paint the whole building inside. This time, that cost me almost about, about 2,000. The painting and this alone, filling alone costs, how much is that? About 4,000 again. We are actually pleading with them if they could just give us just a drain from here. A drain, if not both sides, just one drain from the main junction down to where the water is, and then the main source of the dam should be dredged.
A month ago, this used to be the home of a man who lived here together with his wife and 3 children. On the day of the flooding, he was not, at home. He came back from work to meet this. His sound system, his sofa, the furniture in his room, everything completely destroyed. Now, as it stands right now, this room remains uninhabitable because of its state. You can still see the mattress that used to be in this room. You can see a picture of the man and then his wife also here. You can see this box, you can see this iron, and all his personal possessions, have been left here in this room. Sound system, everything. There is the kitchen. And then also here, I'm told, it's the bedroom. It tells you the enormity of the flood water here at Weija. You can still see the flood marking still on the wall. So this used to be a bedroom, but now not inhabited because of its current state.
My name is Eric Donko.
Eric Donko.
Yeah.
You've been living here for how long?
Eric Donko has lived at Weija White Cross for the past 3 years. He was at work when the flood swept everything out of his room.
For me personally, it entered into my room, so I lost things like my desktop computer, my laptop, and some standing fans and other mattresses. Something that they've been doing for a very long time, but this time I think they open it more than it was expected to open.
Okay.
Because previously I know that they open it gradually. It wasn't as they open this time. Yeah. So even if something like that, they should do it as they are doing it previously. Like they should open it gradually, so that it won't cause any havoc when such things happen.
It wasn't just residents who were affected by the spillage of the excess water from the Weija Dam. Schools, churches, hospitals were all affected here in the Weija municipality. The New World International School is one of the schools here affected by the spillage and flooding
of the Wager community. And we're told that school's academic calendar was disrupted for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, the students were not able to come to school here at New World. And you can see all the textbooks are now wet, and it had to take many days for them to dry them in the sun. All the school's textbooks were affected by the flood, many of them still wet. Municipal Chief Executive for the Wejagbawi Municipality, Patrick Lumo, says the Municipal Assembly is doing everything within its power to prevent another flooding of the Wejagbawi Municipality. He says some buildings that are in waterway will be demolished.
As I speak, Ghana water is still spilling. Now we have 2 gates that are spilling at the moment. So since the last time, they are still spilling. That should tell you we still have some water still in the system. But as we did everything possible to stabilize the situation, as i.e. opening the estuary and all the other things that came in, I believe 1 month on, people are getting back to their normal lives. And now what needs to be done ASAP is the dredging of the downstream of the Densu River through to Tetegu to the sea, which I might say we have extended hands to some few institutions that are prepared to come in to support the assembly. As I speak to you, some of them are on the field doing some feasibility studies for us to know how we can go about with the silting of the Densu downstream to the Tetegu area. But as Ghana water is still spilling, you cannot work whilst the levels are still high within that area. So we are waiting for them to reduce the level of spillage. Then, of course, the team can go in fully to start with some dredging within those areas. Per the information that they gave, hopefully maybe by next month, all things being equal, we should start something. But normally we would like such things to be carried out during the lean season or the dry season, where Ghana water is not spilling. And of course, you can have full access to the canal for them to do the dredging. So that's what we are waiting on now. But as I speak to you, they are having the feasibility studies done. Then they bring in the comprehensive report. We'll take it from there. I mean, per our estimation, over 7,000 persons were affected. Yeah, so that should tell you the extent of damage that the people living within that enclave went through. But with the support of the NADMO, the other security agencies that came in to support, we were able to handle the situation as expected. We only had 1 casualty, which is 1 person that died as a result. Apart from that, we were able to manage the situation to get to where we are today. Some relief items too were also distributed to people. I mean, government cannot reach all the persons involved. We have some NGOs and some individuals who also came in to help the situation. So by and large, I believe we are still getting somewhere. But some actions in the coming months will be taken, i.e. we have some structures that I believe are very close to the canal, which has to be pulled down. We have already marked those structures for demolition. We are just waiting for the situation around those areas to subside, and of course we can move in to get those structures off the way. Whilst we're also looking for the lasting solution, which is the dredging of the downstream of the canal through to Chukwume. So if from now to December to next year, if we don't have a lot more rains coming in, then of course there will still be spilling as we have in now. 2 gates is being spilled at the moment at 24 inches each. So with that, it can be managed. But when the volumes rises, then of course they will have to open the rest. Let me assure my people that government is working around the clock to make sure we find a lasting solution to this very issue. More especially to do is to the dredging of the main Wager Reservoir. The dam was constructed somewhere in 1974 and it got completed in 1978. So as we speak, it's over 40 years old. And since then, we haven't had any dredging within that reservoir. That tells you should have a lot of silt within it. So the little water that comes in will push it to the level with which Ghana water will have to spill. Government of Ghana is doing everything. I'm told that not long, we'll start some major dredging within the reservoir. Then, of course, the dam can now contain a lot of water, which will not necessitate Ghana Water to open to, flood the communities. Whilst the Assembly is also trying to partner with some individuals to get the canal also dredged. Then, of course, we can have some peace within that enclave. Then, of course, those structures that are also dotted along those areas, which have already been marked for demolition, we have no choice than to move in to pull those structures down.
Welcome back to the AM show. This is my favorite part where I get to interact with you. You can go to our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. We'll also open the phone lines. The numbers will be on the screen. While I tell you about that, or while I wait for your phone calls, we know the water is life, right? Because it regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions, 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags. We also have 750 ml for the heavy drinkers and the 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have introduced our special 19-liter jar for offices and homes. Now, you just need to stay awake with Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Come on, grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It is produced by Casapreco, and for bulk purchase, you can call 026-235-1251. This advert is FDA approved. Let's go to our Facebook page and see what you guys have been saying. Firstly, let's show you what we actually posted and what you are reacting to. Now, we posted this story from myjoyonline.com. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has served notice he won't allow people to use his name for corrupt activities because his integrity is his most cherished asset in life. He was reacting to the NAS documentary, Galamsey Economy. Abdul Somi says, never knew what termed integrity, let alone valuing the same. We have Osei Charles, who says, with due respect, you are one in a million. When we talk of honesty and integrity, God bless you, Mr. Vice President, actually. Elikam Francis says, Mr. Man, please forget it. You don't have any integrity in Ghana. That's according to Elikam Francis. Hector says, even though they use the brother for a lot of things not befitting for him, he's still a gentleman. Glad he's starting to understand. Okay. Xavier Jones says, political career made us lose integrity twice. King Tedder says, 2 strikes for him. We've been fooled twice. I don't have the power in my hands. Like by now, Hugo make share. So we will be opening the phone lines. Let's go to Bolga. And Latte is calling us from there. Latte, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay, but I'm not fine.
Tell me about it. Why aren't you fine?
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has disappointed Ghanaians in general. And in fact, he has disappointed himself as well.
I see. So how...
Yes. Nana, during his campaign in 2015, going to 2016, a whole lot of people, in fact, even some of the NDC persons believed that the Messiah for Ghana was coming. And that was the person of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I never voted for him, but he made me dislike the person we had on the seat at that time. That was the President John Dramani Mahama. We had trust in him that he was coming to fight corruption. We had trust in him that he was coming to protect public peace. We had trust in him that he was coming to rejuvenate the economic turbines and get Ghana economy running again.
Very much. Yeah. So let's give way for other viewers to call us. Have your say on 030-2211-691-2. That is the number to dial for all the things you want to say on the economy and some of the stuff that we have discussed throughout the show. Also, you can join us on Facebook. We are JoyNews on TV. But let's go back to Facebook. And Mohammed says, the vice president I know will do more than this. Even his spokesperson indicated, okay, that's the VP is discreet. Okay. Imora A. Latif says, integrity, Elom Jr. says, which integrity again? We also have Enoch who says, they are done using you and your name, Mr. Veep. Okay, Julius Sohini says, see who's talking about integrity. Samson says, you built more airports than any government in Ghana. Is that part of the integrity? Do have your say on 030-2211-691. All right, so let's go to Mensa Kwek, who says, Masajai concert, no, you people are all involved. And then Gina West says, I don't think Baumea will do this. I respect him, Pa. So that's what you guys are saying on our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. The number to dial is 030-2211-691. Let's go to Tantra Hill. Paul, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm fantastic.
That's right. Okay, so my contribution is that this expose happened in the year 2018. It means that the government, including the vice president and the president, are aware of this video. Because I quite remember that Honorable Kennedy Japan said that he has a copy of this video. This means that they were aware of the existence of this video since 2018. So what were they waiting for the thing to be aired before they sacked this minister? Because I also remember about 2 weeks ago, Honorable Ablakwa came out and said that the president has refused to accept the resignation of this minister.
Yeah.
So do they think that we are kids? We cannot read between lines? That they will come and bring this statement that, oh, my integrity is intact, my integrity is intact. No, you don't have any integrity at all.
Okay.
Sorry for us.
All right, thank you very much. That is Paul in Tantra Hill. 030-2211-691 is the number to dial. 030-2211-692. It's only Tuesday, but let me tell you about a fun weekend that awaits you this and every Sunday on Joy Prime as we thrill you into an awesome experience with the latest and most captivating quiz show, Step Up, and then the most loved cooking show for kids, The Big Chef. Now you can tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. for The Big Chef to experience our contestants prepare cuisines as they compete for the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis and unbelievable prizes from sponsors. And your day cannot end without watching Step Up at 7:30 p.m. Now you can make time to watch contestants and you can meet host and DJ George Quay and Mercury Quay, respectively, to dance their way through answering interesting questions to win a whoopee sum of 5,800 Ghana cedis, plus a fun trip to Dubai. Stay glued to Joy Prime for the double dose every Sunday at 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. for the ultimate experience on The Big Chef and Step Up. Step Up is brought to you by Glover and Adanti Travels, and The Big Chef is kindly brought to you by Fortune Rice, Fried Tall Sunflower Oil, Indomie, Top Choco, Fluoride Tissues, Low Price Masters, Sankofa, Natural Spices, City Blood Tonic, Perk Biscuits, and Caron Mouthwash. Now let's also go back to our Facebook. Let's go to Derek, actually, in the Upper West. Derek, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
I'm okay, thank you. Share your thoughts on the conversations we've had or anything you'd like to say.
Yes, what I want to say is that the vice president has also
Derek, I'd appreciate it if you, spoke a little bit louder.
Yes, I'm saying that the vice president name has also been mentioned in the case. Yes, I'm saying that the vice president name has been mentioned in the case.
Okay.
Why has it not been referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor to also investigate it? And again, ever since the Office of Special Prosecutor has been established, how many cases have we seen being investigated? And how many cases have been prosecuted? So clearly, I don't know going to the special Office of the Special Prosecution is neither here nor there. It's not going to yield any result. So these people, we don't trust them in any way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to our Facebook page. Jima, who says your integrity is solid, and Kwabena says integrity, Papa Bang. And Ado says, he's asking what integrity do you have? Muhammad Amin says you have already lost both your integrity and honesty. Go back and watch your flashback videos. And Asamoah Isaac says, please spare us. Okay, the last one is from Osei Kofi Jr., who says you failed to pay NAPCO trainees arrears and you're talking about integrity. Papa Wepa. So let's go to our phone lines. Our last caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from home, madam. I'm Sobevan.
Okay, sure. Your thoughts?
Yeah, listening to you. Yes, please. Hello?
Yeah, I can listen. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you like to share your contributions with us?
The issue of integrity. I think we are talking about the yes.
So listen, right? I need you to turn down the volume of your television set and then use your cell phone or your phone to talk to me.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I can hear myself in the background, so I need you to turn down the volume of your television sets, please. All right, it seems like we have lost our caller, but some house rules for when you call us. Keep it short and simple. Mention where your name and where you're calling from. And the most important one is to turn down the volume of your television set. Yes? Yes. Happy birthday to Sean Tom AIDS. It's your birthday today, but baby boy isn't too well for a photo shoot. We all got everything that we are today and what we are becoming and fulfilling our destiny. Thank you for choosing me as your mom. I've become better with you. Love you to the moon and back. And this is coming from your mother, Harriet Nate. All right, so that is Sean Tomidis, and it is your birthday. Happy birthday. Have a fantastic one. Let's go to our last caller here in Accra, in Newtown. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, madam.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fantastic.
Yes, my name is Daniel, calling from Newtown.
Sure.
Yes, you see, the problem we have in this nation, it's a cultural problem. That's who we are as people. So what our leaders are exhibiting, they are just exhibiting how Ghanaians are or who Ghanaians are. That's how all of us are. So until the culture and our behavior changes, nobody go and bring anybody. Let's change the NDC. They will come and do the same thing. You see, and that is what I think most Ghanaians are not getting it, because that's our culture, our value. That's how we behave when we are in position. Right. So until we change that, it will not work. We will talk. Look, you check. Go to the churches and check. It's the pastors. They all do the same, because when it's the pastor, everything is about him. We don't care about those on the ground. And the same thing is happening in this country, because we think leadership is about position. It is work. It is about integrity, because in this part of the world, integrity is not part of our upbringing. Even when you go to the church, they don't know what is integrity. The pastor doesn't understand. He doesn't talk about it. Church leaders, mothers, parents. We don't. It is not part of our value system. So until we change our character, check the Western world, the countries that have developed. Unless we change people's character, nothing will change.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too. And on that integrity and honesty note, this is where we draw the curtains on the AM show. It has been a fantastic show. We had Benjamin Akakpo with the big story, and we had Bernice Abubedu-Lansa on the grounds in Wager, and then we also had myself with the social media reactions. It has been fantastic. Do join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock. It's going to be another great edition. Thank you to our producers. Thank you to our Slack producers. Thank you to our director. Thank you to our cameramen. We really, really appreciate you guys. On that note, I am Mapito CBD. Up next is Joy News Desk.